too much. I tell myself that I can't stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. That I can stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. Clearly now. Clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. I smoke too much. I drink too much. I tell myself that I can't stop. We could see clearly now. 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 Clearly now. Clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. That I can't stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly
And here we are. We're finally in. Welcome to the. Let's see, this is number 58? Or is it
Yeah, we're
57?
getting close to the 60 mark now. It's 58, I believe. 57 was last week.
It is 58, you're right. Which means I tweeted the wrong number. Whoops.
Oh no. What is done cannot be undone.
Oh well.
Your
My.
mistake will live on in infamy.
I let it set. So, for this semifinal, we're starting off with Missouri State University on the blue side facing off against Team SSX, which I'm not sure if it stands for anything, but it's there.
Oh man, that's an honor banner. An honor ribbon. I don't think I've seen one of those in months, if not a year at this point. Those are rare.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I haven't seen one in forever. I had one for a very short time for honorable opponent or something like that, but
Mhm.
then it disappeared, never to be seen again.
Yeah, when they initially came out, they were much more easy to acquire than they are nowadays. But well, first off, people honor people less since it's less of a new system and it's no longer as shiny. And second, I think they upped the consistency at which you need to continually be honored to be able to keep one. So
Yeah, that sounds about right.
PKing, the guy's got something special going on.
Absolutely, it's very actually really impressive. Um, Speaking of things, we are 5 bands in. We're waiting on the last band from SSX. We see a few less meta bands. Rek'Sai, Vladimir, not too surprising, but everything else, I'm not too. Don't see those too often banned.
Well, Oriana, I am assuming, is because of the mid laner on SSX, who goes by Oriana's memory and is likely an Oriana main here. So that's a very targeted ban. And the Yasuo could be as well,
That's
as that is one that you don't see too often.
so that's an incredibly reasonable assumption.
Ooh, I would love to see a Kled. Haven't seen one yet. Did come out just a few days ago now, if I recall correctly.
That is correct. It's just very, very less than a week, I'd say,
Yeah.
easily. So we see him.
Um,
That definitely look forward to seeing how he is played outside of the champion spotlight.
yeah, powerful bruiser top laner is the phrase that comes to mind when thinking of Kled. But they're going to be locking in the Hecarim right away for Sapling Wiz here as we're getting into the next two picks. Usually, this is answered in response with another powerful jungler. Junglers seem to be all the rage nowadays. With Rek'Sai out of the picture, Gragas is certainly a good option.
Absolutely. A good jungler can completely control the game, and that's probably not an exaggeration in the slightest.
I'd imagine also on the table would be Elise. I don't like to talk too much about hovers because players can swap at any time if they haven't locked in yet.
So you go in great depth about one character and like, nope, playing this.
Oh, it's the worst feeling as a chef caster. But yeah, Gragas would be a great pick. The Braum is locked in. Picking your support this early in the rotation makes a lot of sense. It's difficult to fully counterpick a support because of the lower income nature of that character. You can't really starve them out of gold because they don't really get the gold in the first place. So two rather safe picks. The jungle pickup, because they're already seeing their opponent's jungle, is not really giving much away, and the support alongside it.
Huh? And Sapling is hovering on that Thresh. Don't see a lot of Thresh anymore. And they're hovering
Certainly
on
not
the
for
Nunu.
lack of utility in the kit, though. Thresh is basically impossible to push out of a meta entirely because of just how powerful some of his basic abilities are. Most particularly, I'd say Dark Lantern. There's almost nothing like that in the game. You have to look at Bard for that sort of thing as well, and even then, everybody in the enemy team can follow as well. It gives immobile carries an escape option, and so it opens up so many duo lanes that previously wouldn't have been possible. Is this a new lock-in? No, it's a Kate.
I would have been surprised to see a Nunu because we already had the Hecarim. I suppose maybe Hecarim could have gone top lane possibly, but he's
Yeah,
more common in the jungle for sure.
yeah, nowadays definitely. Um, just the crazy base damage that you can get on his rampage has turned him into something of a brawler, and he's managed to get his way back into the meta, which I'm very actually rather appreciative of the meta over the last few patches. It's been evolving but consistent, if that makes any sense.
No, I
We've
understand.
had a similar conceptual meta, but champions have been rotated in and out as players have played with different builds and played with different champs to see how they fit into the jigsaw that is season 6. That will be the Caitlyn locked in alongside the Thresh, though. So jungle and bottom lane, basically the things you want to pick in the early few rotations of a draft, have been locked in here for Missouri State U. And it's going to be answered back with an Ezreal Braum bottom lane, and it looks like a Shen top. Yes, it doesn't have any more time to swap. Shen top lane for the side of SSX. Both of these teams are playing the draft really safe.
So now we need our solo laners for the side of MSU. They know what their top laner is, that the mid laner for SSX has been reserved to hide it. Gives them
Mm-hmm.
the good chance to counter pick. And of course, the Shen is a super safe pick, as you said.
Karma locked in alongside the Hecarim makes quite a bit of sense. That will be a mid lane Karma, I'm assuming, given that there's already a Thresh in that team. And Aurelia, if that gets locked in here, which I imagine it will be, actually, that's a very powerful pick to have made it all the way to the end of this draft, will give them a pretty darn well rounded, relatively standard meta composition here. On the side of Missouri State University, which is what you want to do when you're in a best of one, when you may not have played against the team before. SSX is new to Reverie, if I recall correctly. We haven't seen them before ourselves, and you want to cover all the bases. You don't have a specific strategy going in, perhaps.
And we see lots of picks being hovered on. We saw the Azir, we saw the Diana. Really hovering on the Diana, but I don't know. don't want to
That would be
speculate too
very
much.
brave.
It would
Into a
be.
karma lane.
You get snared, and then, hey, look, there's a Hecarim and a Thresh roam and an Aurelia roam, and you have
Yeah,
no escape.
that and just Mantrid Soul Flares every 20 odd seconds are going to push Diana out of a lane, something fierce in the early game. Azir would make a lot more sense, being able to hide behind the safety of Braum and Shen and put out a ton of damage in some of these later game team fights.
It
They
is going to
had the
be the
late game
Azir.
sewed up, yeah. Both teams are actually fielding really
Oh,
surprisingly meta and well put together compositions, and we have a disconnect.
client crashed, apparently. Okay. So it is going to
I
be the
mean,
same picks, though, so it's fine.
at least it didn't crash in game, so we don't
Yes.
have a team losing a kill or losing an objective because somebody crashes out of a fight or something like that.
Absolutely. That's a terrible feeling. And all right, Sapling is back. Let's let them get repositioned back where they were going to be. We'll buzz through the Champions Select really quickly.
I mean, it's basically a rite of passage at this point for a night at Reverie to go without a client crash at one point or another would be nothing short of miraculous, really.
Okay, they're back in Champions League. They're going to buzz through it real quick. Same picks, same bands. Well, I guess the
Hmm.
bands don't matter so much as long as they have the right picks.
Yeah, just don't ban out anything that anybody was going to pick, and it's not a big deal. We do have the team comps crystallized here between the two teams, as they are going to pick straight through on the same champions. And I think I mentioned at the end of the draft when we had an actual draft. Dang, these teams are just so well-rounded on both sides. This draft is one of the few really even drafts I've ever seen. Usually I can call it one way or another who has the compositional advantage. I mean, that doesn't decide a game, but here I don't know if I can really say that.
I would say that MSU probably has the early game advantage if they can start
Yeah.
snowballing. But if SSX can make it to that late game, they have Azir, they have Ezreal, they have the Gragas for disengage, and they have the Braum for disengage. And Azir, we've seen Azir's put out just insane amounts of DPS,
Yeah,
melt teams.
that's very true. Caitlyn, though, will scale pretty well into the late game. Aurelia certainly doesn't become irrelevant. And then they've got some good wombo, sort of in the form of the Hecarim and the Thresh to control team fights. So
Absolutely, they're
they
probably be looking for picks using the Thresh, using the Hecarim.
yeah.
They get a pick, they can almost certainly win a game, win the fight easy.
I'd say these teams are both really well rounded, but as you said, MSU does lean a little bit more towards the laning phase, particularly in the top lane. I'd say Aurelia is just such a strong laner, and Shen may have to play a little bit safe in that matchup to be able to survive it. Um, and on the other side, SSX has a brilliant scaling late game composition if they can work it out and play sort of protect the Azir during team fights.
It's not like they don't have the ability to do that. They have the Shen, they have the disengages from Azir himself, of course, and from Gragas and Braum. But if they can't protect him, or if somebody else gets caught making it a 4v5, it's going to be painful. Especially if that Aurelia gets out of control. We've seen Dragon Slayer before. He's a very solid top laner, especially on that Aurelia. And with that, we are going to be just entering our 3-minute delay. We're going to take this opportunity to enter a tiny commercial break. We'll be back once we get into the game, guys. See you shortly. There we go. A little technical error, but nothing too serious. We are in the game. I need to take an opportunity to fix some of our placement here. I accidentally left Baron Replays open, and for whatever reason, spectator mode does not like Baron Replays. Whenever I have it open, it crashes.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, I'm glad we were able to resolve it quickly. A small thing I would like to take note of here. Oriana's memory has gone something of a strange choice. First off, Oriana's memory, I believe, was the mid laner here, and was swapped up to the top lane, and Rough Beans is going to be taking Azir into the mid lane, so perhaps off of Oriana he doesn't feel as comfortable in mid and will go up top, though I may be wrong in that assumption.
Could be.
And also, Oriana's memory has gone deep enough into the utility tree to grab the Biscuit Mastery, the Culinary Master, or whatever it's called.
Interesting. Don't see biscuits too often on him. He is going the Dorn Shield route.
Dorn Shield, of course, does make a lot of sense here against Aurelia. There's going to be a lot of auto-attack-based trading going on, and it even takes damage off of single-target spells nowadays, which would count for all of her spells but her ultis. So.
Yep, basically, with the exception of the true damage, it's very effective against Aurelia's kit.
Yeah, but I'm just surprised that he's gone deep enough into the utility tree to grab that, as opposed to going a bit deeper perhaps into the defensive tree, though it seems that he still has Grasp of the Undying, so he's just opted for the biscuits rather than... Oh, I can't quite recall what's the other sort of semi-keystone mastery that you would have taken otherwise.
No, I can't either. I'd actually probably have to pull up in the mastery page too.
Yeah, it's a very specific question. But it's a minor curiosity at best. It's not really going to shape the game too terribly much, but those sorts of things can build up over a series of matches and influence the way the game is played, so... Interesting to note nonetheless.
Absolutely. We... Seeing some minor trading going on. There's a good Thresh Hook.
Yeah, and the play backwards on a Peking. He's going to have to shift out of there. Thankfully, he hit level 2 in time to be able to level that up. Ooh, another auto attack from Link as a fare thee well. Puts him down below 100 hit points.
Lincoln Okarin? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Okarin.
Oh, the hook landing onto a minion is not quite where Okarin was looking to hit it, and I do believe it is Okarin. If it were a C, I'd be tempted to say Osarin, but that's a K. It's a hard consonant sound.
Oh, we see a gank in the top lane.
Yeah, this is the first gank of the game here in Oriana's memory, who has to flash backwards. The Equilibrium Strike will slow him down, however, and the first blood off the Rampage goes over to Sapling Wiz. A name I'm relatively familiar with. I can't quite recall what team I saw him on before. Perhaps it was this one, MSU, as I have casted the Collegiate Star League a few times.
We have seen this team before, but not under the name MSU. I just can't recall.
Really?
Yes, I've seen Dragon Slayer, I've seen Sapling, I've seen Link, all on the same team. I'm pretty positive.
Gecko leaps through a trap. He has to get the benefit of the heal, and the flash in from Link goes for the auto tag. He doesn't find what he's looking for, and P King will chase him back out from underneath the turret with a few auto attacks. Gaming Gecko came dangerously close to death on multiple occasions.
Gecko thanking his lucky stars, or his lucky potions, I guess, in this case.
Biscuits, I think. I don't know.
Biscuits? I think they are biscuits, yes.
Whatever it was that gave him that sort of luck. Just barely escaping. I mean, you could also say that he's very much thanking P King, who had the presence of mind to be able to heal him in time to keep him alive. That is the summoner burn, though.
Absolutely. Well, a heal for a flash isn't the worst trade. Speaking of ganks.
Right on top. Another gank on the top side of the map. This is the lane that I thought might go swingiest. That's not even a word. Sugimachi does get one more red buff enhanced auto attack. Shadow Dash doesn't land for the top though, but they're still going for it, and Dragon Slayer will fall.
Very nice body slam. Able to slow up Dragon Slayer just enough to allow our neighborhood friendly Shen to pick up the kill.
A hook on the Gaming Gecko. He has the shield up, but there's a beautiful combo from Link. The exhaust dropped onto the Caitlyn. Might be enough to once again just barely save his life, but it will not suffice. Link gets the last auto attack, and now with a flay back, Peking will go down for the double.
Very solid play.
MSU is pulling drastically ahead.
They're out CSing and keeping up huge aggression and picking up kills. That's huge. Very unfortunate.
Dragon Slayer's going in for the 1v1 with Oriana's Memory. Soon to be a 2v1 as Sapling Wiz is once again showed up to the top lane. And the Shadow Dash doesn't really do all that much for Oriana's Memory now. Frantically rushing his way down the river. We'll see if he's able to escape this one. I somehow doubt it. This is going to be a long chase, but there's really only one logical conclusion. Dragon Slayer gets the kill.
And poor Shen, he couldn't get away. Pushing forward with no wards and no... I shouldn't say that. He does have a ward, but I guess he just wasn't able to react fast enough to our neighborhood-friendly Sapling Wiz on the Hecarim coming up. He is very fast, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Arguably, he could have Shadow Dashed down towards the river had he known the direction that Sapling was going to come into that gank from, but it's an argument that's tough to make. And especially in the moment like that, it's hard to react perfectly. Sugimachi here in the mid lane looks for a gank, but can't find what he's looking for onto Safety Dad.
Safety Dad playing it safely, as it turns out. Staying true to his name.
That one was too easy. That one was too easy. You bring shame to yourself going for that joke.
Sometimes
I won't even call it a joke. It doesn't deserve that honor.
Nope. Dragon Slayer might be in trouble, though he's turning the tables.
I don't know about that. Yeah, Sugimachi gets chunked down, and Sapling Wiz is around the corner. Oriana's Memory is going to get just stomped by these hooves, and still without flash. He's going to pay the price for an over-aggressive jungler. This is a rough game here. Oriana's Memory. Ooh.
Safety Dad almost picking up the kill.
Here. Yeah, Mantra'd Solar Flare? That is a different ability. A Mantra'd Soul Flare. Almost finding the kill there.
What would a Mantra'd Solar Flare even do?
I don't know. Like, explode again? You know, like her Q does? Like how you toss it out and it has a secondary effect?
Yeah.
It's Leona's ulti, but it has a secondary effect. That would be kind of neat.
It blinds after the stun's over.
Oh my god, it would require so much balancing and coding, but if you could gift Karma's Mantra to like any other champion and it would empower one of their abilities, that would make her broken.
It would.
That would make her the best support in the game, but also be really neat.
So it's kind of surprising if she doesn't have a blind, considering the sun and everything.
Leona, you mean?
Yes.
I don't know. I like Leona's kid. I think it's.
I think her kid's fine. It's just it would make sense thematically that the sun would blind people if you stare into it. But she has a absolutely fine kit.
The blue buff there being taken by Sugimachi will be spotted out by the opposition as they had a ward in the back of the camp. So they're keeping good tabs on Sugimachi here. In fact, some pretty darn good vision control. And just control in general on the bottom side of the map. Stemming, I'd say, from the mid lane matchup, which is going in favor of Safety Dad, no doubt, as well as the bottom lane, where Peking has only just now finished a tier, and he's up against a BF Sword Enhanced Caitlyn. That is a matchup that will never go to Ezreal.
So that's definitely going to be extremely rough. Oh, Oriana's memory playing it safe.
Yeah, Shadow dashing back to his turret, and he really does not have the capability to fight this Aurelia anymore. He's down by fully half the CS of his opponent. And every time he comes into the minion wave to try and equalize that, he gets chased off, as we saw right there.
So he only has the Bambi Cinder compared to a Sheen and a Stinger.
And once that Trinity Force is completed, it's going to be such a powerful spike. Dragon Slayer will be uncontestable.
Absolutely. And we see Sugimachi is going for what appears to be the, it's not the Cinder Hulk build. I've completely forgotten the name of the AP item for the jungle. I don't know. That's it. Runic Echoes. And it was an Echoes, but I was thinking Luden's Echoes. Like, no, that's not right. It's the big one. Runic Echoes. So if he comes to the top lane, he could very well die to Dragon Slayer 2v1.
That's very true. Yeah, I mean, we've already seen that. Dragon Slayer chased them off, and he did have Sapling Wiz come in to help him finish the kill in the dive, but had Sapling Wiz not been there, I think it's just Oriana's Memory might not have died, but he still would have chased them off 2v1 in the last gank that we saw topside. So.
And that was without the Sheen, so...
Yeah, let alone the Trinity Force that's soon to come. Dragon Slayer does get tunneled under the turret there, though. But a hook into a flay, into a trap. Gaming Gecko is learning the meaning of chain here. Oh my god, he just about flashes out of what surely would have been his death on that Piltover Peacemaker. But the synergy between Link and Ocarina there was absurd. Meanwhile, topside, though, we do have both junglers showing up for a party. Oriana's memory is going to get tossed back by that fear, but there's another toss on to Sapling Wiz. Sugimachi saving his top laner's life by the slimmest of margins. But Sapling Wiz is not to be so easily deterred. He's coming around the corner.
He's out for blood.
Still look for this kill. They've also got a roam from the mid lane. Safety Dad is coming towards the top side. If he can find a snipe with a Mantra, Solar Flare, something like that. He's waiting in the bush, but it seems that they're just going to steal a jungle camp and head back to their lanes while Dragon Slayer gets some headway in on the turret.
Oh, they're going to kill the turret. Which one of us is too quiet? Rockstars.
Talking about me. There's the Emperor's Divide. Okarin back underneath the turret, but it will not matter. And Safety Dad has damage out the wazoo. That is some early game karma right there. The time when it is most powerful, really. Karma is just such a monster for the first 15, 20 minutes of the game.
Okay, if you're allowed, let me turn Skype down just slightly. Maybe that'll... You are loud, he is low. Okay, I'm effect. Am I too loud or am I too low? Let's just start there, and then I'll adjust the volume necessarily.
Sugimachi gets bound. Soul Flare flies wide, however, so no further damage onto the Gragas. Peking is taking some valuable time with that minion wave, as he has had a rough time of it on the bottom side of the map, and he's building that most expensive and elusive of builds, Blue build Ezreal. Ooh, Dragon Slayer flashing forward for the kill on the Rough Fiends here. He has finished off that Trinity Force, and he is looking to put it to work. Wow, his damage is absurd.
Rough Beans barely getting out.
Yeah, by this... Oh, okay, maybe you have to get back to that in a second. Link now is 2v1 on the bottom side. Another cupcake. His placement of these traps has been on point this game, and he gets a kill. He gets the exhaust out of Gecko. He may yet get a second kill. There's the Rampage. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, Oriana's memory is getting slaughtered, moving through his own jungle, which really is not his own anymore. And Missouri State University, they have this game by its neck.
This is a game that you can firmly say is in their control.
Yeah, that's a bit of an understatement.
Every lane has won pretty much. We saw some action in the top lane that could have gone either way, but basically the Dragonstar took control. That CS lead made a huge difference.
I can't lay the blame on anyone personally. As you said, it's fallen in every single lane. They've crumbled, but actually I may have to get back to that point. Hook on the Rough Beans from Okarin, who's playing very aggressively. Forward defense against the possibility of a Dragon steal, and if the Dragon does go down, that's Ocean Drake over to the side of MSU, and they look to take even more off the back of it. Blue buff is next on the menu.
They're very easily going to be able to secure that without much contest. Rockstars, let me know if I'm too loud still. I lowered myself a couple decibel. Or if I'm too quiet now, maybe, I don't know.
I like you just fine. But then again, I'm not listening to the stream, so...
Yes, I've...
Audio can do tricky wizardry things as it goes from a headset to a stream. I know that quite well.
Absolutely. I haven't changed anything, and sometimes it decides it wants to change settings randomly. Yeah.
Well, what do you do if you're SSX at this point? You know, like, we're not even at the 15-minute mark. We're about to get to the point where Dragon Slayer with the Trinity Force completed is basically unstoppable. Hecarim will come into his own out of the jungle with the Cinderhole completed. I'm actually surprised he didn't go the Warrior route, given how snowbally this game has been, but he's even just banking against the opponent, maybe getting a little bit of advantage back.
So second wins.
Dad, I mean, as you see, Safety Dad is unstoppable here. Dragon Slayer's coming into the mid lane as well. Rough Beans is going to shuffle his way out. There's the flash in from Safety Dad. A beautiful double taunt from Oriana's memory. That's how they got to start these fights off, but maybe it's way too little, way too late. Sapling Wiz coming in from the side is going to finish off a kill, get himself a double at the end of the fight. There was a glimmer of hope there for a moment. That's all that it lasted.
That was a very good shadow dash by Oriana's memory to basically attempt to save Rough Beans, but too little, too late, as we said.
Man, Safety Dad hurts now. An item and a half, basically, in his inventory. A nice hook from Okarin on the Sugimachi, catching him out of his body slam. And Link, with his Runon's Hurricane completed, is pelting out damage at this point. That's another double kill, this time going to Safety Dad. Dragon Slayer coming in from behind, and Viking is evaporated off the map. Sapling Wiz grabs the kill credit, but really didn't matter who finished that kill off. Ezreal had nowhere left to go. Another beautiful hook from Ocarin. This guy is just... he's indefatigable. Indefatigable. That's how you say that one.
It's one of those weird words. But they are going for the Rift Herald.
Monty Python taught me that.
Monty Python is one of the best teachers there is.
I don't know about that, but I did learn how to say indefatigable from one of their silly songs.
And
Dragon Slayer will be given a Rift Herald.
because everyone knows that he needs to be more terrifying.
Glimpse of the Void, why not? It's like that guy who, when asked if he wants fries with that, just always says yes.
Sugemachi gets hooked.
Oh, another hook, this time again out of a body slam.
Sugemachi's been really on point. Not Sugemachi, I'm sorry. Link and Ocarin have been really on point with the traps and the hooks.
Oh yeah, their synergy has been pretty thrilling to watch at points, actually. The bottom lane in the laning phase, when they got, I think it was a particular double kill where they just chained CC beautifully, but Dragon Slayer's going for the solo dive onto Viking. That does pull out quite a bit. There's no more flash on the Ezreal and no more Shen ult available. Ocarin is fleeing for his life. They can cut some blow stacks up, and there's the follow through from Sugemachi. He flashes away. Just a little more damage would have finished it off, but they just don't have it in the tank. Now a hook on a Sugemachi condemns him to a few more 100 hit points lost. And SSX was so close to getting a kill there, but they couldn't quite finish anything off. And now Oriana's memory will be played back into the team, and slain. Safety Dad gets himself a rampage. 404 karma score not found.
That was another really good hook. His hook was going to hit the minion, but the mantra Soul Flare from Karma killed the minions right at the second half of it, so the passed right through him. It was
That's
timed
either luck or trust.
one way or the other. It was really good. And it led to Oriana's memory's death. Shen's memory in this case, I suppose.
That's all he's really been since, I don't know, like the first 7 minutes of this game. 7 minutes in is where I say could point to around there and say that the game broke towards Missouri State University. And that is a really, really early breaking point. It's discouraging for SSX.
There's not really a whole lot of options to them here. They've lost every single turret except their inhibitor Nexus turret and the one turret on the bottom side. And they have no objective control. They have no control of their own jungle.
Yeah. And feeling it the worst here, as you said, is Oriana's memory on Shen. 1-6 now. Has been in the hottest part of the fire for most of this match. And as a result, doesn't have anything finished off in his inventory. Just a bunch of bits and pieces of items. That is one of the symptoms of a lost lane right there, when you can't quite afford any individual thing, but you need a little bit of MR, you need a little bit of health to be able to keep going, and so you just buy yourself some temporary stopgap measures. But we may be seeing a match over before its prime. As now 19 minutes on the clock, it seems that SSX is no longer giving it the benefit of the full tank of gas.
Their options are severely limited at this point with a 15-1 lead and 0 turrets.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much you do at this point. They theoretically have a strong late game with an Azir and a blue build Ezreal, but getting to that point seems basically like an impossibility. Ocarin with a rare missed hook. Around the corner, there's Sapling Wiz going into the ulti in there, happily diving inhibitor turrets before the 20-minute mark. Sapling Wiz will fall as a Gragas ulti deals the killing blow. Meanwhile, Dragon Slayer, though, diving through the entirety of an enemy team, manages to get a kill and nearly actually finishes off King as well. Wow.
That was really well played by Dragon Slayer. He was able to dodge the Shadow Dash and then get that kill.
Interestingly enough, he actually didn't quite technically dodge the Shadow Dash. He casted his Q as the Shadow Dash connected. That's why right before he died, he started padding back towards Shen.
It looked like I missed it on my end, but I guess I was watching quite close enough.
It was a really strange interaction, and it speaks to how quick the reaction time was for Dragon Slayer there. Shadow Dash forward for Oriana's memory, but it really looks like he's just dashing into a lot more damage than he can handle. He has to flash back out of that. Now the inhibitor turret will be going down quite soon as Link is free firing on it. A few more shots and it is kaput.
That is going to be the first inhibitor of the game going down.
Yeah, and things are looking almost unsurpassably grim. Sugimachi does get a killing spree actually for himself, salvaging that out of the darkness. Meanwhile, Safety Dad is given free reign in the mid lane though and takes an inhibitor turret for it.
It looks like, because of their huge lead, it looks like MSU is playing a little more sloppy, but they still have really strong control here.
They've got a lot of room to maneuver. They can afford to take one or two missteps here or there at this point.
Absolutely. We do see that both Baron and Dragon are open, but they probably don't even need to consider either. If they don't need to, they have 2 open inhibitors.
They'd have to fall mighty far to be able to give SSX a path back into this game, but evidenced by the fact that we're seeing a 21.5-minute mark on the timer here for the game, SSX has still got their hopes up to at least some small degree. This game is winnable. And, you know, I can't blame them. Like, it looks really grim, but it isn't over, I suppose, till it's over, as cliched as that sounds. And there's no harm in sticking with it.
Oh, sorry, I was reading the chat. I see what it is. It's not that it's the wrong teams.
What was that? What? That was a strange looking Shadow Dash right there. But one way or another, there's only so many ways we can say that SSX is looking out of hope and out of time this game. Oh man, those hooks. This is potentially a 2v4 right here. Link is doing massive damage at this point. He's got 2.5 items completed. There is the headshot to finish off the kill. Rough Beans is dashing in. Link does get tossed backwards into a rough spot, and he does fall. The 2v4 is a little bit more than they can handle, especially now with Oriana's memory, teleporting in. Okarin is going to get eventually chased down and murdered. Meanwhile, though, 3 men strong, we saw MSU taking Baron on the other side of the map. So even so, in a 1v2, giving up 2 kills. In a 1-4-2, rather, giving up 2 kills. MSU still comes out on top there.
Well, that's 2 big objectives for the sacrifice of Link and Okarin. And there goes Rough Beat.
Oh, just, it's absurd seeing how much damage in Aurelia this far ahead does. Like, let me look at the exact gold values here. 10.2k versus 6.1 to 2-ish k. That's just disgusting. That is frankly disgusting. The lead that Dragon Slayer has accrued for himself. And now he's going to be putting it to good use. There's the shift and the flash. Peking has no part of this fight. He does not want it.
Peking does not want hugs. Sharp, pointy hugs. Poor Aurelia, always alone. Oh. Safety Dad.
Yeah, Safety Dad does have good pressure up the top side here. This is Shadow Dash in to taunt him back. Actually, they may get the kill here. A flash over the wall to get to safety. And Dad just about gets away. But to address some of the potential concerns in chat, there is a delay on Twitch itself, as well as a potential delay between our spectator client and yours, if you're also spectating the game through the client, as it takes into account the loading time of the person with the spectator client. It's coded like spaghetti. I don't know why. So you may be seeing things a little bit sooner than us or a little bit after us, one way or the other. We are still seeing the same thing. So.
Yes. If it's just strictly spectator clients, then they're pretty not too far apart, but adding the stream on top of that is going to make the delay even more than that.
2 inhibitors down now, though. This is looking like a shoo-in for MSU. There's a hook onto Sugimachi. Body slam to get himself to safety. Flash as well. Glacial Fissure down. That's a lot of cooldowns burned, essentially just for a hook and an Aurelia ulti. They're holding out as best they can, but that's likely not going to be enough here. Another hook, this time on the Gecko. Starts off another small skirmish. Here's Oriana Memory dashing into the fight. Sampling Wiz is going to pop down his ulti as well. Another beautiful hook onto Oriana's Memory will finish him off. That is a 3 for O so far. Peking is in the middle of everything. But not for very long as he loses his hit points rapidly. And there is the ace.
And that is very much going to be the game. We still have Baroned up minions pushing in on these turrets.
Yeah. And that game was decisively MSU. Through and through. From, I think I said, the 7-minute mark, they had that game in their grasp, and they didn't let it go for a moment. 25.5 minutes in, they close it out. The fastest finishes I think we've seen here at Reverie.
They don't get much faster than that, that's for sure. It's usually not quite that one-sided. We've seen some one-sided games, but that was unfortunate. And we are still... Let me refresh the bracket here. And I have a fly in my face now. Go away. Shoo. Looks like 420 Help Me is still facing off against Super Hot Sexiness.
We may have a case of mistaken identity here as well. As MSU, I'm not going to trust them. Because apparently MSU may not actually be MSU. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. For now, I can only go off the name that has been given to us, the casters. So they will be called Missouri State University, but... hopefully we don't have a case of dirty impersonation on our hands.
That could very well be the case. You dirty, dirty tricksters. You get labeled what you name yourselves.
Yeah, I mean, you tell us you're MSU, we'll take you at your word. Mainly because I don't have any way of fact-checking that right now. But, I need some way to refer to them. Aside from Red Team. That simply doesn't sound very professional. But yes, as you said, I think we still have the next semifinal match to get through before we can get into the finals themselves.
They started roughly the same time, and I don't think I have anyone on their... Let me double check my friends list to see if I have anyone from 420 Help Me. It's possible. Let me see here.
Oh, it's 420 Help Me in the tournament tonight.
Yes, they have returned.
Oh, I'm so excited. They were really fun to cast last time. Not in the least because of their name and because of the wonderful, wonderful situations it would get me into while being a play-by-play caster. Well, shall we put on a little bit of light listening while we figure out where we're going next with the stream?
Let's do that. It's gonna maybe a bit because I don't see anyone
All right.
on my friends list.
If we can't get into the next semifinals, then we'll be coming back at you very shortly with our grand finals of the night. So please do stay in tune, folks. Stay tuned. Stay in tune? That doesn't make any sense. We're not singing. Please do stay tuned, folks. We'll be back very shortly.
And we're off into the finals. The real MSU versus the real 420. Somehow, I don't know how I screwed that up so badly. I got the teams mixed up somehow. I
Um,
I don't know what happened. Whatever. I had
I
a I
was
had a huge brain
surprised.
fart.
I was surprised to see Dragon Slayer on a new team, but I was gonna go along with it. It seemed like something interesting. I don't know.
Nah.
But yeah, we do have the real MSU this time on blue, I believe, facing off against 420. Blaze 420 help me, not 420 Blaze.
Also known as the fake MSU.
Yes, also known unwillingly, I think, as the fake MSU. Oh boy. Karma and Aurelia Band out here. Aurelia Band against Dragon Slayer makes very, very many lots of sense. And the Rek'Sai ban is pretty standard. And now we're seeing them take their time with their next ban coming out of 420. Taking their time indeed, down to the last few seconds. There it is.
And it's the Victor targeted at Nightshade, possibly? Don't see a whole lot of Victor bans unless they play a lot of Victor, typically.
I mean, Victor is a powerful pick, though.
Absolutely. He's done by no
It's
means a
just
weak
about the pick.
champion, but
In the current meta of like mid-range, mid-game power spiking mages, I feel like Victor is certainly up there in the list. Victor, Karma. Who else been taken up first in mid lane recently? Anivia, Cassiopeia, I've seen a little bit of that. Even Ziggs now and again, in that same vein. Sivir going to be banned out as the final ban here for the side of MSU.
so banning lots of the mobility style engage, disengage with the Karma and the Sivir targeted. And there is the
And
Vladimir to round out the bans. Vladimir, not a huge surprise, still super powerful even after his nerfs.
And I'd imagine these teams have some measure of respect for one another, as these two teams are teams that we've seen a few times here at Reverie. Teams that consistently make it to the semifinals, some oftentimes the finals as well. And as such, they will likely actually know something about the way each of them play as well. Oh man. Unbench the Kench, uninhibit the Ribbit. I want to see it.
And
It gets logged in.
and the catfish is in. It is a catfish, right?
Yes, yes indeed. Though
So,
for the sake of the poetry of it, I
ah.
pretended he was a frog so I could say uninhibit the Ribbit.
And we see Dragon Slayer and Sapling are now up. They're taking their time. We do see that Dragon Slayer is not going to be able to play Aurelia, but it does leave some of the other picks that we've seen him play before, like Gangplank, and I want to say we've seen him play Kennen too. I think
I
that
think Gangplank is a real option here. Cannon as well, we have seen him in that a few times. Anything that can dominate the lane and come down with a powerful mid-game. Cannon actually is really enjoyable to see Dragon Slayer's take on that champ. And we've seen a few more cannons come to the fore recently in the amateur scene in particular. Hasn't yet really broken its way into the professional scene, but I think it's on the way.
he is going to play it safe. He's going to go ahead and lock in Thresh for Okran, who had a brilliant game previously on that Thresh.
Oh yeah, nothing wrong with giving him that, as that'll be a very quick pair of lock-ins. The Jin and the Nidalee. There's a lot of damage bound up in two champs.
Absolutely,
And
don't
some good
see.
diversity as well. High AP, high AD.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of Nidalee anymore, but she's one of the champions that, if she's played well, she's terrifying in the early game because she has so much damage output and mobility.
Yeah, Sapling is back on the Hecker, and that we saw him use to great effect last game. He was all over the map, everywhere he needed to be, exactly when he needed to be there. This guy has a sense of, I can't quite say direction, doesn't quite work well, a sense of game flow that's very, very powerful. And actually, according to Chad, Kennen has been played in the LCS playoffs today. I didn't get the opportunity to see that. I am very excited, and I will have to go and review those VODs. That sounds like fun. Ooh, safety data on the Ahri, though.
So, his the Karma is not available. He doesn't lock in the Ahri. And Link once again back on that Caitlyn, who had some really strong game of Caitlyn. Those trap placements combined with Okran's Thresh were amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, so far we're only actually seeing one deviation from the previous composition that 420 played tonight. Of course, they will have to deviate again as they don't have the Aurelia to go back to for Dragon Slayer, so they're going to have to pick something different in the top lane. But that core of Hecarim, Thresh, and Caitlyn worked really well for them last time, so if it ain't broke, there's no reason to fix it.
Absolutely. See a couple of unusual hovers that I don't think are going to stick. I would be incredibly surprised.
The Garen would surprise me a lot. The Syndra, maybe not so much. In a lane matchup against Arya, I'd just call that a skill matchup. Yeah,
Yeah,
vanilla.
all right.
We'll lock that in for next
That's
game.
not as unusual as say a Garen, and I
Oh, yeah.
don't think we'll ever see Garen here. Poor Garen.
And the final pick is saved for Dragon Slayer. He gets a counter pick in the top lane. There aren't too many things that really counter out Gnar all that well, but Kale is actually arguably one of them. Kale does quite well because Divine Intervention allows you to play around those sort of moments of power that a Gnar will get when he transforms and gets access to all of his high damage, high crowd control based abilities. Fiora as well could do some good, yeah. A nicely timed riposte, again, because Gnar is based around some really big, impactful cooldowns in the course of a 1v1, mainly his ulti. Having the ability to riposte something, if it's well timed, can be hugely beneficial to Dragon Slayer.
There should be just enough a window for that when he goes into Mega Art, when he tries to land that stun. There should be just enough of a window for Dragon Slayer to riposte it, and it's pretty obvious when he's going to go for the stun.
Yeah, and if anybody's going to be able to land that sort of mechanical outplay, it will be Dragon Slayer. We've seen him perform to a T in pretty much every game that we've seen him here in the tournament, and this is the second week at least that I've casted him running, and perhaps in one of our other 57 opens, he has shown up as well.
He has. He has several. I want to say he's 4, 5, 6 times maybe.
Mm.
He's definitely had several games. Looking forward to seeing some of these picks. We don't see a lot of Relay. We don't see a lot of Syndra. We don't see a lot of Tom Kench. So a lot MSU coming out with some of the more rare picks.
Yeah, I'm a little worried for Vanilla Salt and Raipu. Lincoln Okran played a really aggressive lane with this same exact composition last game. And Tom Kench, while he has some powerful capabilities defensively, can't really hold off continued persistent aggression out of a champion like Caitlyn all that well. So there may be a gap between those two lanes that they won't be able to overcome. But, one thing is for darn sure, with an Nidalee, a Syndra, and a Jhin, they've got a core of damage that if they can just maneuver it correctly, could definitely lead to some good things for them.
Absolutely. And with that, we're going to take this opportunity. We're about a minute into our 3-minute delay. So we're going to go to a small, tiny commercial break, and we'll be back shortly. And here we are. The first game of the finals. Missouri State University. The real one, I think.
The
Possibly.
real ones this time. They do have the team tag for it, so that instills a level of confidence.
Absolutely. Versus 420 Help Me. Let me double check to make sure I haven't screwed something up somehow. Nope, we're good. We're good. We're seeing possible really early game aggression here by both teams.
Oh, yeah. 5-man stack from both sides. You have to consider which team may have the better level 1 here. And the hook from Okarin, if he's opted for that first, does sort of...
I'm leaning a
Make me
little.
want to lean that direction.
I'm leaning towards 420 here if they engage.
Yeah, they've got hook and potentially charm if Safety Dad wants to commit that far to the invade by leveling that up first. Which wouldn't even be that bad for him in lane. It would just mean the first wave or two he'd have difficulty shoving and he may get a level of disadvantage because of it. First Blood could definitely make up for that. You know, on the other side, though, there is quite a lot of early damage, even though there's not a lot of CC. But all of this theory crafting has been in vain.
Both
On
teams
the
are
other
just
side-
being ready for the possible invade. They didn't want to invade themselves. Just too bad for us. Team spreading out to the standard lanes, both junglers starting on the bottom side of the map.
Raipu has the Earth Kench skin. That thing's great.
It is amazing.
I love that skin. Yeah, as you say, slow start. We'll be starting off on the bottom side of the map. Lead free gets the drop slightly on Dragon Slayer here, and the laning is on. As we get Saplingwood starting on the bottom side of the map as well. Both junglers going the very standard clear here, it looks like. And I've got an eye kept on this bottom lane. As I said, I think during the draft, anticipate Okarin and Link coming out ahead here. That's not to say Vanilla Salt couldn't pull something through alongside Raipu.
So Jin is able to put out surprising amounts of damage if you aren't ready for it. So they got to be careful about that.
It was a little bit unfortunate that Dancing Grenade just didn't quite have the damage to get either of those minions. So he missed out on 2 CS there. Feels bad. It was his only real option, though. He was out of ammo. Jin's kit is
Ooh.
unique. I really actually like the design of Jin. Very strong design for that champion. There we go. That's the Dancing Grenade you're looking for.
Things are taking off slowly.
Oh, Dragon Slayer, thinking he's got lead-free red, doesn't actually quite. Drops the riposte, but lead-free. Reading that, in turn, didn't toss out the third auto.
Yep.
Okarin is going to go for the flay now onto Raipu after Hook pulls him back, and there's the Stampede into the cupcake!
That coordination.
As with his team. That is just on point.
Sapling came in from the perfect angle to push a Raipu. It's Raipu, right? Raipu?
Yeah, Raipu. Lead-free, interestingly enough, there in that trade, they traded about evenly in terms of hit points, but Lead-free actually purposely gave up a cannon minion to go for that trade. He canceled an auto that would have given him the cannon minion gold, and instead opted into going for the wall up on a Dragon Slayer as Meganon was timing out. So, interesting thing to consider. Dragon Slayer actually came out a tiny little bit on top there in that one specific instance because of that.
You see LED Free doing Gnar things.
LED free, is that it? Is he missing some sort of small electronic lighting mechanism, or is he water that's safe to drink? Is he lead free? I'm really not sure.
I think he only goes for incandescent bulbs. He doesn't use LED bulbs.
We'll both choose one and go with it. I'm gonna go with lead free
All right.
because I don't want him to go mad from lead poisoning. And you say that he's into incandescence.
Yeah, he likes incandescent light bulbs. Positive.
Oh, hopefully it won't be too confusing for the viewership. And this way we have our bases covered so the player can't get angry at us. That's how.
It's a perfect strategy. And by the way, he's they're saying ripe poo. That can't be right.
I think maybe that isn't right.
I'm pretty certain that's incorrect. There's only one P.
Raipu has such great friends in the chat, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Those are the best friends. The ones that butcher your name on purpose.
Alright, well, The lane that I anticipated going ahead has done so far. Not for the reasons I anticipated, though, as actually the lane is shoving towards Link, pardon me, and Okra.
In the strictly 2v2, they're doing just fine.
Yeah, that's for sure. And they're actually managing to balance the minions as well as the trades. You know, they're not going so very aggressively that the wave shoves out of their favor. They have it either at the middle or actually shoving towards them, which is where you want it, because then it makes it nice and easy for your jungler to come in and capitalize on the advantage. And it's the worst of both worlds for Vanilla. It's really
He's
not
gonna,
ideal.
in a situation like that, he has to rely on Raipu's
Wow.
ability to, wow.
Nightshade going with the opposite combo as usual, but still may get the kill. The flash in for the auto plus play was enough.
Safety Dad, unfortunately, going down. Really aggressive play by Nightshade.
Right there, usually, because Syndra's ulti will not only hit the balls that go around really fast, but also the balls that she has summoned on the ground. Usually you want to use the Q first to summon an extra ball so you have a little more damage out of the ulti, but oh, actually, Dragon Slayer getting tossed against the wall there. Slide free burns the ulti for a little bit of pressure up top side. So usually you want to drop the Q first, you have a little more extra damage, but that time I imagine the ult was burned first just for the speed, you know, so that Nightshade didn't have to cast the slower spell first and give Safety Dad a chance to flash out.
But he managed to calculate the damage just perfectly. It was the last tick of that Ignite that finished the job.
Yeah, it was really close. And if it hadn't worked, we'd be criticizing Nightshade for not dropping the Q first and instead going with the ulti, but you know, by the slimmest of margins, he does come out on top.
Sometimes the gambles pay off. Okran taking a lot of damage there, actually.
Yeah. Lantern tossed back will not be followed up on from Sapling was as Okarin taking more than he anticipated from a dancing grenade. Opts to back out of the gank. And return to a quiet laning phase. Only one kill on the board now for both teams. Even gold, basically dead on. This game looking much more even-handed than the last match we had tonight. There is a Wallop just about catching into Dragon Slayer. He's done a great job of holding his own in terms of CS in this lane that we've constantly seen him pushed under tower in.
Absolutely. His solution to the Gnar problem is lots of swords.
And just continue to farm, you know? He's never really taken a full-on fight with Lead Free, and she's been able to snag minions just as effectively every time.
Absolutely.
He's incredible even.
Yeah, against a Gnar, that's definitely an impressive feat.
Yes, he has started a bit of a home for lost swords in his inventory.
He always wanted to open a sword orphanage.
Sword finage. Oh, in the mid lane, though, I am Nightshade getting chunked dangerously low. He may now find out what it's like to burn to death to an Ignite. Safety Dad now getting leapt onto underneath the turret, but Slow Sloth didn't get the last auto, or did he? The red buff is ticking. Safety Dad doesn't go down, though. Oh, no, that's got to feel bad for Slow Sloth, but he did play his card safe and get out of the turret range.
Absolutely.
It just means that he could take home the kill.
Very good play overall, but poor Nightshade. He had the favor returned on that Ignite.
And overall, that's going to be an advantage over to 420 there. Zokarin, it's a hook onto a Raipu passing down.
He's going to get snared up.
Really has the big guns. Yeah, it's the 80 carries who are bringing the big guns in this one.
Absolutely.
Appropriately enough. Oh no, Dragon Slayer. That's a turret. Oh boy.
That's actually extremely close.
That was dangerously close. Dragon Slayer wanting to deny a little bit of extra CS from his opponent. Really goes down.
Almost gets an express trip back to base for free.
Yeah, it would have been just an execute. It wouldn't have been all that big of a deal. But it's still a little embarrassing.
Oh. And the pink ward goes down to Nightshade. How sad. Ooh.
Ooh, there's a hook, and the last minion has died. The box is going to be holding Raipu into the turret, so he has to flash away. Vanilla Salt turning back around does get a nice binding there, but he has to flash himself as the exhaust gets dropped onto him. There's a heal. Summoners going left and right here. Link flashes forward for that final headshot. And that 2v2 was beautifully played by both sides, and it may not yet be over. Vanilla Salt is hopping into the curtain call. Okarin flashes away from a bullet that connects with Link nonetheless.
Vanilla Salt's
So
trying to make it 1-for-1, but not quite able to land the hits onto Okrinen. One more bullet was all it would have taken.
one more, but still, he got the panic flash out of Okrin. That counts for something. But it doesn't count for any amount of gold, as the game does reward 300 to Link, as every summoner except for Raipu's Exhaust goes down on the bottom side. And honestly, it's a little bit questionable that Raipu's Exhaust didn't. Fight certainly merited it. Ooh, there's the ult from Safety Dad to get away from a spear.
Maybe he didn't expect the flash and just wasn't ready for it, but here comes Raipu speaking the level.
Yeah, and Raipu's gonna spit Link back out into the waiting bullets of Vanilla Salt after ulting towards the bottom side.
Link not quite respecting Tom Kench's ability to
Oh, there's
come out of
the
nowhere.
exhaust save for this moment. Sapling Wiz leaping into the backline does get his damage cut. Raipu will save Jin from damage for a little bit longer, but Vanilla Salt is just tossed right back out into the fire and the flames. But he turns back around. He just about escapes with a few hundred hit points. And now Okarine is the one under fire. Slow Sloth will bring him down with a pounce and an execute. A spear flies wide, hitting a minion, so they don't have anything else to chase down. But Thresh has fallen.
And there's that early game middly damage, able to put out a lot of burst.
And the safety of having a Tom Kench in your lane. I think Vanilla Salt, I'm sure, is thankful for. Does Dragonslayer go for the dive here? Oh, one more auto would have done it. It didn't have the courage.
If he could have, he was trying to get at an angle where he could proc that true damage hit, but he barely missed it. That would have been enough.
And now Mountain Drake will be going down unless Sapling Wiz can steal it. He was almost in position in time, but not quite.
Raipu having a nice, strong game on Tom Kench despite the deaths.
Yeah, for sure. And now Vanilla has finished off that Yumu's. That's a pretty decent power spike for the bottom lane of MSU here.
See that Link is still working towards that Zeal. Ghostblade Jin is going to be terrifying, though.
Yeah, Link has actually kind of split his item path here. He's gone with the BF sword early, I'm assuming just for some more laning presence, but now he does seem to be, as you're saying, working towards the Zeal, presumably a rapid fire cannon. Very powerful on Caitlyn, extending her range even further.
Could be Runin's. He did build a Runin's last game.
That's true as well. Yeah, Runin's is a powerful option. In early game, that may be why he's split up his build here. You know, that does shed some light on it with the thought of Runin's, as building a bit of damage to back up the attack speed focused item would be helpful.
Absolutely. And of course, Runin's does help him proc headshot faster as well.
Mm-hmm. Spreads the damage out in a team fight as well. So even just that item choice signals that these teams are looking to skirmish in the mid game.
We see that Dragon Slayer has finished his Hydra. And that LED free, ooh.
Scatter the weak, scatters Safety Dad back to the safety of his turret, and again, Ari ulti is burned defensively, but he's using that second charge to land the charm. Now flashing away, Foxfire does some good damage, but the Ignite is ticking, and Nightshade will trade 1-for-1.
It's very slight advantage going to 420 because they got the assist, but not enough to really say who's going to win there.
Yeah, and I mean, in a 2v1, getting the 1-for-1 trade is... it's always a good feeling, at the very least.
Absolutely.
Nightshade's happy with himself about that.
Yeah, Nightshade definitely not feeling down on himself. He did what he could there. We do see that, though. Every engagement is resulting in, like, full summoners being blown everywhere.
Yeah, nobody's giving any ground unnecessarily. That is the kind of League of Legends that I like to watch, personally. Lead Free tosses a clock tower, and the lane that I anticipated going most excitedly has been the least eventful one. Dragon Slayer versus Lead Free has just been kind of a story of Lead Free pushing and Dragon Slayer farming.
Lead Free gets a little too uppity, I guess you could say. Dragon Slayer attempts to put him down, but it only successfully done it one time.
Mm-hmm. That was with the help of Sapling was being topside, so...
Absolutely.
Really, in terms of just the 1v1, it has been something of a quieter lane than I anticipated.
Dragon Slayer just taking a very slight advantage in CS, though. Thanks to that kill, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and just the fact that Dragon Slayer is one of those players that never really loses the edge. You know, he's constantly looking for an advantage, and he's able to keep going, but he may have to use that right now. There's the flash away from Lead Free instantly as the ulti gets cast, and a spear will not connect either. Raipu gets hooked back underneath the turret after a play as well. You know, in the mid lane, we have some action all across the board. It's safe to add the benefit of a few orbs, not of deception. That was tossed out as well.
He got orbed.
Battle of balls in the mid lane.
Lots of balls and orbs.
That hook just about not finding its mark for
Nope,
Oak.
there's the curtain call.
Link will dodge 1 bullet, dodge 2 bullets. Meanwhile, Slow Sloth is looking for a bit of jungle action, and the curtain call doesn't seem to have connected anything solid. And Slow Sloth continues his aggressive maneuvers, invading now onto a raptor camp. That will call Dragon Slayer out of the top lane, but meanwhile, mid, Nightshade showing us who comes out victorious in the Battle of the Balls.
You see that cinder damage output is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, indeed. With the full item completed in the form of a Morellonomicon and a little bit of extra change for AP, Nightshade is starting to hurt quite a bit, even against Atudad's rather defensive Abyssal Scepter rush. Dragon Slayer's opting into a fight, but maybe he shouldn't be. He's full in committed for this one, though. Lead Free turns around and
Oh,
the auto attack rushes him into the ground.
Heal doesn't quite get enough in there to save his life.
If he had had just like another 50 hit points, I think he would have won because that auto wouldn't have killed him. He would have healed off of his ulti and he would have been alright.
Absolutely, I do agree with that consensus. He also did not have riposte up. He used it earlier. He was not able to riposte the stun.
Yeah, I think the repost just blocked an auto or something like that. Something certainly much less consequential than a wallop or anything like that. Sapling was now on the bottom side of the map. He's ghosting in. He's rushing in, and Raipu has to flash on out. And that'll be about that.
Yeah. We do see... Oh, things are staying calm.
Oh, look, things are calm. Well, I mean, they haven't been so calm over the last few minutes. Because that was the first solo fight we saw in the top lane.
Safety Dad in trouble again.
Yeah, there's a trade of ults again. Link is getting flanked on here by Raipu, but the double beams into the sky. What can it mean? It means the top laners are getting involved. Or maybe only Lead Free, as actually Dragon Slayer cancels out his teleport or is interrupted, and Link will be dove under the turret and summarily slain. However, Slow Sloth does get knocked back a little bit there by Hecarim rushing into the fight. Raipu tanks a few turret shots, gets himself to the dangerous side of the map, but it looks like he'll be able to waddle out. And that prompts a dragon attempt, it looks like, here from MSU.
So they have a full 5. We did see that Dragon Slayer canceled his TP. It was in a kind of an awkward spot. It could have gotten him caught out pretty bad. And he has opted to take the turret instead. Something that of course, Fiora is very good at.
Yeah, and that is going to be a lot of farm for him as well. Another few minion waves in the back of the turret. And yeah, that was the first turret of the match as well. So there's a lot of gold actually going over to Dragon Slayer. No small thing there. As he now is sitting a good 700 or 800 gold ahead of his laning opponent.
Let's see.
But still, Lead Free is able to finish out that Frozen Mallet.
That is going to give...
Not doing so shabby.
It is going to give him a significantly stronger kiting potential, of course, and make Nara even more annoying.
Mm-hmm. And just really almost impossible to deal with in the 1v1. Fiora, though, I believe, will outscale the Nara into the later game. So if this game draws on for any significant length of time, I think Dragon Slayer will actually have the upper hand in that particular 1v1.
Oh,
Nice
slow
sloth. Followed up by the Peacemaker. The Cupcake cuts off the escape. Link is going to net forwards, actually, into the flash, but gets countered by an exhaust. Takes a lantern back to safety, and you see once again the synergy between this duo lane. It is just on point. Another beautiful hook. Raipu will go down to an auto attack that spits Slow Sloth out into the face of a lot more damage. He does get the benefit of the heal from his AD carry friend. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we have another 1v1. Nightshade is going to flash, but he only flashes back into the waiting hooves of Sapling Wiz, who shows him the meaning of the word glaive. It's French, and it means very sharp and long. Spear-shaped object with an axe on the end. They're dangerous things. Don't play with them, kids. Link gets a kill on the bottom side of the map, underneath the turret, no less. Meanwhile, Dragon Slayer's going for a repeat of our earlier 1v1. A wallop will buy Lead Free a little bit more time. Dragon Slayer just needs another auto attack or two to finish his kill off, but he can't quite catch up. There's the hyper proc. He gets a bit of movement speed, but Dragon Slayer, he knows no remorse, and he gets himself a kill.
420 picking up some much needed gold and another turret. And that is going to put them ahead. Just
By
a couple K
a
gold.
slim margin.
Game is far from over, but they needed that goal. They were starting to fall behind a little bit.
That was really, honestly, quite impressive from Link and Okarin, though. We didn't get to see a lot of the latter half of the fight, but it was very well done. Dragon Slayer, caught out in the opposing jungle, will go down. Slow Sloth shows him exactly where his territorial lines are drawn.
Kitty owns that part of the jungle. Poor Dragon Slayer.
Raipu gets himself a delicious crab-flavored snack. Is he bringing that over? Oh my god, he's bringing that over to Nightshade. Oh, the synergy. The Tom Kent Syndra synergy. How did we not think of this in the draft phase? They can do crab in mid lane. It's so convenient.
Reminds me of one of those weird videos you see on YouTube where they try to drag a buff like to the like the fountain or something.
That actually has a little bit of strategic merit, though. Like being able to just do the crab in a place where the opponents really can't contest you. Just gives you free vision, so long as Raipu can get in there to sneak it over to the mid lane. I mean, it's not going to be game-winning or anything, but it's cool synergy, and they haven't really sacrificed much.
Oh, see, Nightshade could be in trouble here. Oh, good save by Raipu.
Yeah, flashes in to get that, but nonetheless, it is worth it. And in the meantime, a turret goes down. Ooh, nice spear there. Sweep that through the minion wave and on to Safety Dad.
We're starting to see now that how we see MSU has chosen more of a kiting team. They have a lot of poke and kite.
Yeah, a lot of long-range siege as well. That I think is one of the aspects of their team that's going to be really difficult for their opposite number to deal with. Link has some good wave clear, as you see. If they can go for a full-on engage like this, they may come out on top. Nightshade's going to go down. The Ignite was burning onto Okarin, but it would not finish him off. Safety Dad now gets out of there with a Spirit Rush. It's Life 3 and Slow Sloth look to pick up whatever kills they can off the back of this, but nobody's going down. Deathfire touch from Vanilla Salt gets the kill. A Dancing Grenade, I believe, is what procced that.
And that is a 1 for 2 going in favor of MSU.
And they're going to keep the pressure on. Sapling Woods will do his best to clear out the minions here, but he's just a little horsey, and there's not much he can do. In fact, he does get turned into glue. Slow Sloth gets the kill, and the secondary turret falls.
Well, they had to put old Hecarim down.
Sent him to the glue factory.
Apparently that was Jin W that finished off Safety Dad.
Yeah, any ability would have procced the Deathfire touch, which sealed the deal there.
Poor Safety Dad. It just can't seem to get away from those dots.
That's true. Yeah. Earlier on, I think he fell for first blood, or one of the earlier kills, to Nightshade's Ignite as well. So it's been an unfortunate game for Safety Dad to some degree. What I feel we haven't seen from him, and that I was anticipating seeing, actually, was a lot more roaming, a lot more pressure on some of the other lanes. We haven't really seen Safety Dad out of the mid lane. And Nightshade has been happy to go for solo fight after solo fight.
He's trying to push the wave up, I imagine, but it's not going to be easy against a Syndra. Especially Syndra, who's continuously, landing stuns and evaporating. Poor Safety Dad.
Now with 2 turrets down in the mid lane, though, it does give an odd sort of freedom to Safety Dad. He doesn't really have anything left to defend unless they want to really overextend and go for an inhibitor turret shove. So perhaps we'll see him come to some of these other lanes. Maybe a little bit too little too late. But honestly, sitting around in mid lane just doesn't feel very safe when you don't have those turrets to fall back to. And there's not too much to defend anymore. You can catch the minions as they reach your inhibitor turret. And yeah, we're seeing him roaming out of the lane, coming down towards this dragon, which has just spawned and will, I imagine, be a point of contention.
Absolutely. They have MSU has very strong vision, so they kind of know where everybody's at. They know what they're doing. Sapling taking a little damage there.
It's the curtain call. He gets pulled to safety by a Thresh Lantern. Okarin will eat those bullets as well.
They do manage to dodge that last shot.
Yeah, that's actually a bit of a botched engage. Sapling was going to turn it back around onto Nightshade. He gets thrown back into the fight and instantly evaporated.
Yeah.
Now Sapling Wiz is keeping up his duties as front line.
Super solid engage by Sapling. He was able to get in there and separate Nightshade away from Raipu, who does not have his flash.
Yeah, and Nightshade being out of the picture is darn impactful. A rare mistook there at the end of that fight from Okarin. They still have a good few opportunities to take a fight again. MSU, though, is not too wary of this fight here, as Slow Slot actually gets in there for the steal. He gets taken out himself, but it's worth it so far for the Dragon. Raipu will be flayed backwards. There's a double kill going over to the Caitlyn. A flash forward from Okarin prompts a flash from Led's Free. And that is a 4 for Dragon trade. I can't say that that's quite worth it.
Yeah, if it had just been Sloth, it would definitely be worth it. But they traded nearly an ace for that.
And a lot of the gold went to Link, who is going to be scaling pretty hard into the late game. Safety Dad, well, there wasn't really much you could do after you was tagged for that first auto attack. Frozen Mallet did the job.
Safety Dad not having the easiest game right now.
He's going to tumble forwards. Lead Free can't quite handle this unless I misspoke. Actually, the hop procs his hyper and he gets a big chunk of damage. Getting the kill there onto Dragon Slayer.
And Dragon Slayer's having a little trouble sticking to the Gnar with that Frozen Mallet.
Yeah, and twice now he's taken fights that were really close but didn't quite work out in his favor. And usually when you're talking about a fight that's really close, working out in someone's favor, it's usually working out in Dragon's favor. He's known for those sort of scrappy brawls. Oh man, that range! Nightshade picks up the kill that by all rights could have gone to Vanilla Salt. And the Baron goes down. MSU, starting off a Baron that I think was just a bait to pull people near it, actually finish it off after sniping out Sapling Wiz at maximum range.
Super, super strong. They decided not to even bother waiting. They knew where he was with that ward, and that down came the curtain call to slow him up. And then Nightshade with the steal.
Suddenly, things are going so badly here for the side of 420. MSU is taking advantage after advantage off of that. They are just avalanching down now into the base here. Slowfoth takes a bit of damage there. Raipu's gonna pull the Cinder to safety. Nightshade gets spat back to the back of the fight. Lead Free will leap on out of there, but finds his way onto a trap in doing so. Safety Dad dashes forward, but immediately has to sidestep. Now Sapling Wiz is looking for the re-engage. There's a Gnarled in the backline, but Dragon Slayer will finish off the menace. Raipu gonna get flashed on here. The riposte actually deals the killing blow. Dragon Slayer doesn't quite have what it takes to finish off the AD carry, however, and now Curtain Call could do a lot of damage. One more bullet is all he needs to snipe out that Ahri, but a triple kill nonetheless is quite good, and Nightshade is the hero of that fight, belting out consistent damage and kiting backwards after being the beneficiary of Raipu's saving efforts.
That's going to be a 2 for 4 going in favor of MSU. MSU, this game was even for a long time, but they have taken control with that Baron.
Yeah, and sort of the fights before it as well. Like it's hard to pinpoint exactly where it got so out of hand. I guess you could point to the Baron play, but what?
Safety Dad managed to sneak a kill there.
That was some hitbox nonsense if I've ever seen it. The flash, I guess, happened at the same instant that the Orb of Deception landed, or maybe there was an auto attack and a Foxfire flying after her. Those are the only two scenarios that make any sense there.
I have to watch the replay, but it looks like it's just the very tip of Ahri's Q managed to just barely connect with Syndra, and that actually triggers both the true damage and the magic damage.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell. But one way or another, that is Safety Dad snagging a kill out of the jaws of defeat.
We need everything they can get right now, because they're in a tough spot now.
And with that phrase, it really does feel sort of like 420 have managed to snag defeat away from the jaws of victory, as opposed to what you would usually say being the opposite.
Yes.
As they were holding so even, they were doing so well, and then suddenly with a poorly timed Baron play from the opposing team, they're now just losing ground on all sides. Vanilla Salt is on a rampage now. An overextension from Dragon Slayer.
Dragon Slayer not having the ability to basically get away from a Tahm Kench combined with Gnar slows.
And this last outer turret is easy pickings. Just basically some free gold left standing there. And now they're shoving up the last lane with turrets outside the base remaining.
Sapling's in a little trouble here, but
a lot of this game, even that Baron play, arguably, where they got the long-range snipe, can be laid down to the massive range advantage that a lot of the characters. Oh, we have an engage here from Sapling, where they're meant to get back at that in a second. Safety Dad goes down. Vanilla Salt is unstoppable as he's kiting back and earning that title. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, We see Slow Sloth is shoving up. He gets himself an inhibitor. The inhibitor on the top side is down. There is only one remaining. Vanilla Salt does get headshot. Link flashes forward. He gets the shut down. The exhaust is dropped, however, and Raipu and Lead Free may be able to take this fight. Link is going to get spat out, take that chunk of damage from the Devour. Slowthos with the Zonias will lose the turret aggro long enough to get his heal cooldown back available. And it looks like Link fell as well.
Link making it a 1-for-1. Somehow, how did Nightshade get picked up? I missed that somehow.
Nightshade, I don't remember the exact specifics of how he died, actually. If I tell you the truth. Oh, the wall up on the Dragon Slayer, followed into some chain CC. He does manage to turn it around for the kill onto Lead Free before going down. Does he have the double kill here? The lifesteal is insane. But Raipu has quite a bit of health, and Slow Sloth quite a bit of damage, so he's not going to be able to contest there. Again, Safety Dad looks like he gets a kill snatched from the jaws of defeat. The end of a horrible team fight, but that's really not the sort of pattern we're going to be building. A charm onto Raipu will pull him back into an orb of deception. Those kills are small consolation.
Absolutely. They lost another inhibitor turret, so they are down to just their Nexus turrets, with 2 inhibitors actually down at the moment, so they're having to defend against the double minion waves of supers. That is definitely a rough spot for 420.
He was engaging on a Nightshade. He's going for the 1v1 fight. 2v1 now, and Safety Dad coming around the corner, and Sapling will finish off the kill. Nightshade playing a little bit overconfidently. Without his team to back him up, goes down. That opens up a dragon, potentially. This is a Volcanic Drake as well. It's a darn big deal. Call comes through. Gets some good damage on the Sapling Wiz, and even Safety Dad a little bit as one bullet connected there. So that will be the Volcanic Drake secured. In the meantime, however, they've got super minions streaming into their base from 2 fronts. They can't really afford to be out of their defensive position for too long.
Well, you do see that Dragon Slayer is basically holding down one lane. He has that Guardian Angel now, looking to be a nuisance in that back line.
Yeah, and I mean, it's surprising, but Dragon Slayer hasn't really had too much of an impact in this game so far. We've seen him get like a few turnaround kills every now and then, but he hasn't been too much of a governing force in the game. He hasn't been drawing attention to a side lane or taking over team fights or anything.
He's really struggling to 1v1 LED on that Gnar. And then the last time he tried to split push a little bit, he got caught out really hard by Raipu.
Yeah, I'd say as a team, and even as a laner, Lead Free has read him pretty well, and as a team, MSU has responded very well to the presence of a Fiora on the map, which is to say, just deal with it really quickly before it becomes something of a problem.
And they're dealing with it quite well. They're forcing a more defensive build. It's looking like he's working towards possibly a Banshee's Veil. No.
Turret call drops.
No, it's Spirit Visage, not Banshee's Veil. I'm silly.
Ooh, a nice spear there into Safety Dad. And this is the disadvantage that I was talking about earlier. They have so much range damage. A lot of these fights have started at a disadvantage for 420. Sapling was now in the backline once again alongside Dragon Slayer. They're wreaking as much havoc as they can, but it doesn't look like it'll be enough. Dragon Slayer has to flash out. Safety Dad gonna get himself maybe a kill on the side here. He flashes into the fight. He's looking for it. Link, in the meantime, is doing some really good consistent damage. This is the late game Caitlyn scaling up. There's the ace in the hole. Raipu will cancel out the ulti by taking a chomp out of Slow Sloth for his own health, really. And there's the Zonies to keep him alive a little bit longer. But Link is there with the bullet to finish up any hopes and dreams of a turnaround. Ooh, man, Dragon Slayer almost goes down. He no longer has that Guardian Angel to keep him safe.
We do see that LED. LED still has this Guardian Angel. Quite durable. But that is a... Oh. While that fight was happening, we saw a Nexus turret and an inhibitor go down. So that's rough to say whether that was worth it or not.
I mean, they hold out a little bit longer. They didn't lose. And losing was a real, potentiality out of that fight. So, that's good. That's a good starting point. But it's going to be even harder for them to crawl back into this game now.
Absolutely.
It really does feel like they're crawling at this point.
They desperately need those inhibitors up, and losing 2 minions is going to be super rough.
Baron is on the board once again. We saw how quickly they took it last time. And it's got to be respected as a real option for MSU.
This time they need to, hopefully, that Sapling doesn't get picked off by lots of long-range damage.
Sapling is in the area. The whole of 420 really is, but then again, so is the whole of MSU, and we may see the last team fight of the game break out here. As jockeying for vision begins.
Looks like 420 is playing it back. They're playing it safe. They don't want any huge risks here, because one person getting picked could very well end the game for them. There's no way they could stop a baroned up team rushing into their base to get the inhibitors and that last Nexus turret.
Ooh, a nice spear from Slow Slot. That's going to be followed up by a curtain call, and Okran may not be very much longer with this world. The fourth bullet comes through onto Safety Dad. In fact, he does have the Zonias this time to avoid dying to that damage of a time effect. Raipu, though, is in the back lines in front of a veritable buffet here. He's going to chomp down onto Link. So many people, so very low health from 420, but only one has actually perished. Meanwhile, Raipu and Nightshade have both been slain. Finally, Vanilla will snipe someone off on the side. That still is 420 chased off of this global objective. 420 now having to lick their wounds back in base, deal with the fact that there's going to be another inhibitor most likely falling here. Nobody can really stop Slow Sloth and Vanilla. I mean, actually, maybe Safety Dad and Wiz can do it.
If Safety Dad can get a good charm, he could possibly evaporate one of them with the help of Sapling, but they're not going to contest.
And there's only one Nexus turret remaining. Sapling Wiz gets caught out by some damage there.
Vanilla doing a ton of damage.
Turret falls. Sapling Wiz dives into the back line, only to almost instantly evaporate. And speaking of, so goes the Ari, as went the Hecarim. And that is the game there, going over to MSU. Off the back of a somewhat messy fight, but a one fight nonetheless.
Absolutely. It was a interesting game. It started off really even, but then MSU starting to take controls more and more as the game went along. And so that'll take us to a game 2.
Yeah, and a lot of that, I gotta say, was down to the willingness to take risks and the ranged advantage of MSU. You can see the willingness to take risks mainly within Nightshade's KDA, who, despite the fact that he was an incredibly potent force that game, arguably won his lane, is still sitting 7-10. The guy was at the front of a lot of team fights. He was constantly looking for picks. And he paid the price a good few times, but nonetheless, his team was there to follow up on the picks when he did find them. A lot of his deaths were traded 1-for-1, and I'd say that he sort of exemplified the style of game that we just watched.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to see what 420 does to change things up. Might need to consider trying to change up their top lane picks. The Fiora just wasn't doing the trick. Struggling quite a bit, unfortunately, against that Gnar.
Yeah, maybe getting Dragon Slayer onto a less binary champion. You know, Fiora's either going to... Fiora only does, like, a certain amount of damage, you know? She has these cooldowns. They're not very difficult to land. They don't require a ton of finesses outside of her riposte, really. So there's not really a lot of breathing room if you're behind on Fiora in which to get ahead on Fiora. You just kind of have to wait it out, get to the late game, and get your items. So maybe a champ who has more in the way of utility for Dragon Slayer, which isn't really usually his MO, but honestly, I think we mentioned it during the last draft, a Kennen would fit that bill, and we've seen Dragon Slayer on Kennen. It would also give them the option to diversify their damage output a little bit, going AP in the top lane.
It'd definitely be interesting to see what do they do here. They have a number of options. They are going to be on the blue side this time. Speaking of, better change that before we get into Champion Select.
All right, and we do have I think a minute or two before we get the teams into the lobbies here. So
we would take this opportunity to take a minor breather. We'll be back shortly, jumping right into Champion Select. And we're back.
We have a picks and bans.
Seeing a first ban Rek'Sai, probably targeted at Slow Sloth, despite his impressive performance on that Nidalee. To be fair, his entire team had impressive performances across the board. They're also going to target Nidalee for a ban, and also keeping Safety Dead off the Karma.
And the Zed as well. That's an interesting one.
That is...
I don't think we saw that last time around.
That's definitely a new on the ban list. I don't recall that at all.
I'm interested to see how this draft plays out. I think a few of the missteps were compositional and a few were mechanical for the side of 420 that game. It's impossible to pin a single game on any given moment or instance or factor, but Dragon Slayer getting caught in the back of that pit was down a lot to the range discrepancy between the teams, and it decided a lot of that game. That Baron going down was so huge.
Absolutely. There's just so much poke coming out. They had Gnar Q, they had Nidalee Q, they had Jin's poke because he has a number of ranged abilities. They had Syndra just, throwing balls at him. It's just there's so much for them to deal with, and they weren't. One person getting hit by something kind of led them to possibly just getting evaporated. And they're also going to target Dragon Slayer again with that Aurelia ban.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, his Fiora wasn't hugely game-changing last time around, but that's a good reason to keep him off of Aurelia, because you know that he can do a hugely game-changing performance on Aurelia. So put him back on Fiora. Let him pick that again if he wants to. You know how to play around it.
Absolutely. We'll have to see if Dragon Slayer picks that Fiora again or decides to change things up.
Gragas' first pick, probably going to Sapling Wiz. I'd be surprised if they lock this in. Sapling has had great success on the Hecarim so far tonight.
Absolutely. He's had a very strong game on the Hecarim, actually.
There's no reason really not to go back to that champ. It would give them more wave clearing ability out of their jungler. Hecarim basically offers nothing in a counter siege scenario aside from the ability to engage and pick a fight, which Gragas can do. But Gragas also has the option to hold back, drop some barrels, and simply clear waves, which maybe that's what they're looking for a little bit more of out of their composition this time around, because arguably that was one of the things they lacked.
It's definitely interesting to see what they do here. We're seeing a hover on Nunu. I don't think that's likely.
Really unlikely. I'd have to say, really incredibly unlikely for Slow Sloth to go from something like Nidalee onto Nunu. Pretty much the polar opposites champion.
Yeah, they're very, very different ends of the jungler spectrum, that's for sure. Seeing LED hovering the Sivir now, which was banned last game. I'm not entirely sure why, but...
And it's a Nunu. All right, well, Slow Sloth is showing off his champion variety, his depth of his champion pool at the very least.
Maybe it's a surprise AP top lane Nunu.
Or a support Nunu.
Could be a support Nunu, yeah.
Though alongside Sivir, I don't know about that. I don't like support Nunu in general.
He's not particularly...
It was okay back in like season 2 when you didn't need a lot of impact out of your support, but nowadays with things like Thresh, Nami, Braum on the scene, you need more out of a support than a slow and an attack speed buff.
Absolutely. We're seeing Gnar being, however, Dragon Slayer wanting to make sure that he can play something that can be impactful, even if he isn't being, getting a ton of kills.
And the Ashe lock-in for Link is a change of pace off of the Caitlyn, though rather similar in terms of laning patterns, at least. A lot of auto-attack harassment, especially up against a Sivir matchup. I like the Ashe into the Sivir. It's very powerful. Of course, Vanilla Salt will always have the ability to block out an ulti with a spell shield, and that is sad when it happens, but the amount of value you get out of just having the range advantage and the harass advantage in lane is certainly worth that potentiality.
Absolutely. If they can just bait out the spell shield, that ult can come down nice and hard. We're seeing a Yasuo hover, which is a little unusual. We don't see a ton of Yasuo.
It was banned against Nightshade last time.
Oh, that is true. So They did have to open up to ban that Nidalee. And it is going to be locked in, so it's very likely going to be mid lane Yasuo. And we're seeing Raipu once again not playing Tahm Kench.
Yeah, this time onto a different lifesaver in the form of Zillion. Oh man, Zillion plus Nunu plus Yasuo. Nightshade's going to be super high damage, high movement speed, and even the first time you kill him, you got to kill him again. And then he's got the benefit of the Sivir ulti as well. This is a support the Yasuo comp right here.
What could they pick for top lane that would help enable that more? There's a number of options.
Well, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket necessarily. Maybe they just pick a top laner that's a solid laner and that can offer something to a team fight, you know?
That's true. They don't want to, also don't want to pick something that's just going to get eaten alive by Gnar.
Yeah, you want to give some respect to Dragon Slayer here. You want to pick a solo laner that's going to stand up in that 1v1. That is a Janna lock-in alongside Safety Dad. So I actually really like Janna. In this situation, can be really powerful for stopping a Yasuo.
Help stop Yasuo, gives them the ability to help push Henwer out of that.
Yeah, it looks like there was a disconnect from one of the players. That's unfortunate. Well, if MSU wins this game, then our matches tonight will be bookended by disconnects. The first match of the night and the last. That's only if MSU wins, because we are in a best of 3. It is 1-0 currently to MSU, and they could clinch it now, or honestly, I think we're still able to see it go either way. That last game looked really decisive at the end, but it only broke that hard because of a disastrous Baron play. And that's not something you see in every game, so...
Absolutely. That Baron really helped cinch things out for MSU. And I'm being told to look at Slowsoft stats for Nunu. So let me look those up real quick.
I'm excited if we've got a highly ranked Nunu player on our hands here, because that is some intense mechanical skill that we're in store for. Oh man, he's gonna press E on enemies so hard. But no, the macro play that's available to a really good Nunu player is something worth being excited over.
He has a 70.5% win ratio with Nunu. 31 wins, 13 losses.
That's dang respectable. A little bit of a small sample size, but I imagine he's played it over previous seasons as well, so.
Very likely. Yep. So.
All right. Well, the last few things we didn't really mention in these compositions was the mid lane matchup. Nightshade is going to be on that Zillion. And it's going to be up against Safety Dad's Nivea, it looks like, which is the last pick we saw. And now we are into the last pick here for Raipu. So it is going to be a mid lane Zillion, it looks like, for Nightshade, as Lead Free will be given the Yasuo.
So what kind of support could we see here? Raipu could play Tahm Kench still.
That is an option.
I'm not sure I'd pick it into Ashe and Janna, but...
I'd be a little worried if they went Tahm Kench. Oh, wow, actually, no. That may be the support Zillion, then, if Nightshade wants to go back onto his Syndra.
Quit toying with us!
The thing that I'd be worried about with their composition, even now as it's locked in, is their CC is strong, certainly, in some instances, but a little bit unreliable. Zillion's double bomb combo is kind of difficult to land, especially if you can't get within range to slow someone down first. And Nightshade has to land a rather small projectile skill shot to get a stun. So they don't have anything as guaranteed as like a Gragas ulti or a Gnar ulti that can be just positioned really well, or even like an Ashe arrow if it's in a point blank team fight or something like that. It's very difficult to dodge. So it's just, I think it's easier for 420 to make use of the tools that they have.
Absolutely. I do like 420's team a little more here. We're seeing that MSU's front line is a lot weaker than it was in the previous game. They only have Nunu to tank, basically, and their poke isn't quite as strong as it was previously.
Yeah, they've got some sort of like cheaty tankiness in the form of Wind Wall and Flow and Raipu reviving somebody during the fight, but yeah, they don't have like true in-your-face, just wall of health tankiness.
Absolutely. And they only have one way outside of Yasuo enabling himself to help enable get his ult off, and that's Syndra knockback, and that's such a tiny window.
That's very true.
So, and it'll be interesting to see how LED plays around that. See if
Mm-hmm.
see if his performance is good enough. Because I always enjoy seeing good Yasuos. And we are entering our small, tiny delay of. We're about a minute in already, pretty close. And we are going to take a small commercial break. We'll be back shortly. And we are back in this potentially last game of the night if MSU can cinch another win. This is currently game 2 of our finals, best of 3, obviously.
Hmm. Small little thing right off the bat here. Raipu has gone with the ancient coin as his support item of choice. One that you don't see very often nowadays. A lot of people consider it just almost strictly inferior to the Spell Thief's Edge. But Raipu maybe just really wanting that Talisman of Ascension to further stack on the movement speed, alongside Vanilla Assault and Slow Sloth, both being able to speed up the whole team and Lead Free, I'm assuming, respectively. And of course, Raipu can speed someone up. Dang, that's a lot of movement speed that Lead Free could potentially have this game.
He could end up being pretty scary if they can't lock him down and kill him. I imagine that we need to see 420 do here is they need to find a way to kill Raipu before he can get his ult off. Because
That's
if they pick him, it makes it a lot easier. But because if they pick the wrong person and they get revived, then everything just backfires.
yeah. I mean, honestly, I think 420 actually have a pretty clear path to victory here. It's just going to be through like controlling some of these team fights. They've got great crowd control, especially when comparing these compositions. You know, like the ease of use. I think I said it during the draft. The ease of use of the ultis of the kits really on the side of 420 is just so much higher.
Yeah, so I do. Actually said it in champ. So I do like 420's team more. It's just it's feels like MSU's is more like a gimmick comp that could
But
end up backfiring very easily if it doesn't go working out the way they want it. But maybe they know what they're doing.
I'm also really curious to see how this top lane plays out, and even just in terms of the laning. I mean, Yasuo has me curious pretty much the whole game, but Leadfree had a proficient lane on the Gnar last time, but that was a much more standard matchup. Gnar versus Fiora is something we see a lot more often. Top lane Yasuo in general, is a stranger, more exotic beast. And Dragon Slayer is nothing if not a proficient laner, so
Definitely,
interested to see how Leadfree handles it.
they're trading pretty evenly here, though we see that LED is pushing harder due to his AoE.
Yeah, just his ability to spam out that sweeping strike across the minion wave is going to serve him well in shoving and getting an early CS lead, but Dragon Slayer will be able to equalize it once it gets to the turret, I'm sure. Ooh, Thunderlord's proc onto Ocarina. This is the first time we've seen both Ocarina and Link on different champs tonight. We've seen nothing but Caitlyn Thresh for them up till now. This is a much more defensive pick, particularly from Ocarina.
So that's too bad. He played pretty good games of Thresh, but they do feel like they needed to change things up. I can't blame them.
Well, I think it was in reaction to the somewhat, as you said, gimmicky comp that was being run by the opposition. But up top, we do have Sapling Woods coming in for the first gank. The wind wall won't too much just have a body slam, as that's first blood going over to Dragon Slayer 7. That's a darn good start to a lane.
Body fat greater than Windwall.
Yeah, you can't really stop a rampaging Gragas with a wall of measly wind. Ooh, the stun onto Ocarina. He gets caught out in the wrong bush. The heal is popped from Link to get him to safety. That'll be a summoner burned there from 420's bottom lane. Ocarina overextending a little bit too far.
In the mid lane, we see Safety Dad still struggling a little bit against Nightshade Syndra.
Yeah, his Syndra has been something to be feared here. Dang, landing both the Q damage and that toss.
Of course, Anivia is able to revive, I guess you could say, but
Yeah, to some extent.
oh, possible gank. Oh, I forgot to
Yeah,
mention this.
Slow Sloth's
Nunu
coming
bot.
on him. Raipu's going to land the stun here into Link. Slow Sloth doesn't really have a lot to follow it up with, though. And the gank will be answered by a teleport. So it's a summoner pulled out a Dragon Slayer for Slow Sloth's time.
Pretty valuable gank, I'd say.
Yeah, certainly worth it. Raipu gives Vanilla Salt a little bit of an XP leap. Zillion's passive is very interesting. A lot of people can... it's either, like, just super unimportant and not really a factor, or, like, really, really valuable, depending on, like, when he lands it, when it gets to hit. And it's so unreliable in getting it to hit. Because you just kind of passively store up the XP, and then you give it to someone when they're about to level, and you can't really time that too easily.
Yeah, it's a little unusual. But definitely getting harassed off with those bombs. Though we see that Ocarina is pretty close to full health thanks to those biscuits.
Yeah, but he has had to burn through more biscuits than Raipu has, so...
That is also
Effectively,
true.
you could consider there's a health advantage for Raipu, even though the health bars don't currently say so.
Things are so slow in the bottom lane now. Not quite as exciting as it was in the previous games.
Bomb flies down onto Ocarina, and I think that's partially just down to the fact that Ocarina and Link are playing a much more defensive lane comp here.
Absolutely.
Sapling Wiz will be found by Slow Sloth, who's, well, he's done a good job of farming up the jungle so far. The hyped Nunu pick hasn't really translated to much in the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game, but we'll give it more time. A
Just
good
a-
wind wall there does block the hyper for a little bit.
Just wait, it's gonna be like full AP Nunu. With Death
Oh,
Caps
no.
and a Loon's Echo and a Void Staff.
That would be a treat. I don't think it would work too well, though. Not with the amount of disengage that's currently resting in the hands of 420. There's
Yeah,
just
it-
no way that Slow Sloth would get it.
It definitely wouldn't work. Because he's basically their front line. If he builds
Yeah.
AP, it's gonna evaporate. Though AP Nunu is always a treat to see if it when you get those really big ults.
Oh, it's so much fun. So much fun. But, you know, however much fun we do like to have here in the Opens, this is also something of a competitive game, and these teams are no slouches on either side, so gimmicky comp or not, this is a legitimate strat that MSU is trying to pull out here. So I think the AP Nunu is a bit less likely. The stun not landing from Safety Dad, that does consign him to a lost trade here and a lost passive as well. Nightshade may even take his life for it. He's just about got the cooldowns to get it at a few hundred hit points. He does come out of the egg alive and well, however, though. There's the turnaround with the last breath from Lead Free. Drops a wind wall, drops an auto attack, but will not find his way out of that predicament. Dragon Slayer takes the kill.
Well, LED once again getting ganked, giving another kill to Dragon Slayer. Well, I think if it was just strictly 1v1, he'd probably have a much easier time. Of course, that's obvious, I guess, but I'd say the advantage would actually be more towards LED, but he's getting focused pretty hard here.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, though, you know? Because of the nature of a Yasuo lane, he's going to be shoved up a little bit against his opponent. He's going to be trading aggressively because Yasuo against a Gnar in particular, wouldn't win out in the end if he didn't go in for a lot of trades and didn't aggressively play the lane. And so Sapling Wiz, understanding that dynamic, has been top lane to take advantage of it because Yasuo's pretty darn easy to gank if he's overextended.
Absolutely. If he doesn't have the minions to get out, he is very immobile.
Oh, yeah. And this is one of the reasons why you don't really see solo lane Yasuo, particularly top lane Yasuo, because it's a much longer lane and there's more avenues of ingress from the opposing jungler, so you're going to just have more ganks more often. Safety Dad doesn't have his passive this time.
He's not having a good game at all. He's struggling so much, poor guy. Oh,
Dragon Slayer is more than happy to take these fights. Boomerang gets eaten by the wind wall, but not before it's dealt the damage. A flash away from Lead Free, but a flash to match it from Dragon Slayer. Bought a little bit of time for Slow Sloth to show up, but there's not much a Nunu can do, especially now with Dragon Slayer getting his Gnar on. It's another kill going over to Dragon Slayer, just snowballing out of control. Link misses the ulti onto Raifu. A little bit of anti-synergy from a lane that we've talked up the synergy of over and over again. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, there's the ulti from Nightshade plus an auto attack for the finish. And Slow Sloth has to flash away from Dragon Slayer, who almost got himself a second kill. Oh, but Link and Okran are not done, or are they? As Raifu speeds his AD carry to safety.
seeing poor Link. You can only imagine the mental facepalm he gave himself for missing that arrow.
I mean, the arrow would have been on point had Raifu been able to keep on walking back as he was doing right then. It was shot sort of anticipating the Zillion's movements, but a tornado interrupted Raifu. So it was actually some anti-synergy between Okran and Link, which
So,
eventually we can see.
what we're saying is we have to blame the support. It's totally the support's fault.
Always blame the support. That is the lesson you should take away from this, friends. No, it was just they were both the right move, you know, and they didn't really communicate their intentions to one another. Okran and Link both tried to CC the vulnerable Raifu at the same time, and a little bit of a mishap. One way or another, they'll be okay.
Yeah, they are definitely a combo that I imagine will be able to recover just fine.
Yeah, especially since Link doesn't even really need to do all that much recovering. He's still got a CS lead for himself. He's still Ashe into a Sivir lane, so he'll have a bit of an advantage in some of these fights. And once we get into the mid game, I imagine the sheer engage potential that he offers is going to be super valuable, even if he wasn't ahead.
Absolutely, as long as his engage doesn't get eaten up by, say, a wind wall, that's basically the only thing he has to worry about. Yeah, that's and the spell shield. I'm thinking about it. You're right. Still, that's not a whole lot to worry about. Those things you can look for and play around.
Yeah, that's very true. And that's the sort of artificial tankiness I was talking about. There's a flash in from Okarin, though, and whether on Thresh or Janna, this guy only seems to play aggressively. Raipu's going to get chunked down after an arrow lands. Just has enough time to drop the Chrono Shift, but a flash away from his AD carry means that he's left hanging to dry, but he gets out. The movement speed. Okay.
All right, that was exciting.
I think they spotted Slow Sloth and I Am Nightshade coming down from the mid lane, and they didn't want to commit to that. Ooh, a nicely placed wall. But Nightshade
Not-
his way around it.
Not quite where he wanted to be
Tower
pushed.
does quite a bit of damage there. The snowball comes through and it pops the egg. Sapling was going to try and defend it as best he can. Body slam on a Nightshade. The Chillings might as well just for that little bit of extra damage. The flash hit for the auto. He gets the kill. Safety Dad falls to an ice ball. But the body slam on a Slow Sloth will secure some revenge here. Or will it? Does Slow Sloth create the distance he needs? One more body slam. Anything landing onto this guy. Chilling smite even. Then Sapling gets the kill.
Sapling barely getting out. Might get chased down, possibly, depending on what Raipu does here. He wants blood. He wants blood.
Yeah, Raipu's going for it. He's speeding in. Either bottom lane, so. That was a fun little fight.
Absolutely. I'm surprised that there's enough of a gap for Nightshade to walk past that wall.
That was a little.
That was a little janky.
But you know, wall physics have always had a little bit of jank to them.
Absolutely. It wouldn't be a game of League if there wasn't a little jankiness to it.
Janky spaghetti, the best kind. My favorite flavor of pasta. League of Legends flavor. Spaghetti.
Oh, Safety Dad getting stunned up again. Poor guy.
Oh, a Nightshade dodging the stun.
He just
Nightshade
wants to. He wants to burden peace.
Yeah, but Nightshade has finished off his first item. He's got quite a bit of power spike going for him now. The Ignite is back up. Once his ulti is available, which actually it just came off cooldown, he's going to be a hugely potent threat. He's even being donated a blue buff. So Nightshade is going to make a move soon. I can pretty much guarantee it.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of when.
Especially considering that Safety Dad has gone the longer route with the tier and the catalyst.
Good stun into Okarin, but this is all something of a bait as Vanilla Salt has to pop on the hunt to be able to get out of what could have been a rough situation for them. Slow Sloth was around the corner as well, but honestly, I would say that Sapling would have offered more to that fight. It was a good idea for them not to engage in the 3v3.
Absolutely. Oh. LED going for that pink ward. Oh, Safety Dad in trouble again.
Scout of the week stuns him up. The Ignite plus the ulti and a snowball for good measure will be enough to give Slow Sloth a kill under the turret. Now with the Frozen Mallet completed, Dragon Slayer is a nuisance for lead free. The blue trinket so that he can assure the auto attack around the corner so that Fog of War wouldn't break. Clever. But a flash from lead free will get him to safety. He answers the flash from Dragon Slayer.
Dragon Slayer does have that frozen out finish, so it's just going to get rougher for poor LED.
Raipu's base damage is starting to fall off something fierce.
Oh, we're seeing a gank in the top lane.
That's very true. Honestly, I don't know if Slow Sloth can really take this fight, but he does have lead free coming up to join. He snowballs a minion there, presumably by accident. There's the absolute zero, though. Lead free's coming in. He gets the knockup, and he doesn't follow it up with the ult. He had trust in the Nunu to do the damage. Now Raipu's going to take one more shot of Ranger's focused enhanced Ash auto attacks and go down something, well, not so fierce, as Link gets the double kill bottom side.
So, I had to say, 2-for-1 trade essentially, with poor Dragon Slayer not quite able to do the 2v1 since he did not have access to Meganar.
Mm-hmm. And now lead free actually has a little bit of sort of artificial defensiveness. I know it's a phrase I've tossed around a few times, but in the form of the Phantom Dancer himself, so he's not going to be quite as dead in the water in these 1v1s. I still think he's going to have to play really careful against Dragon Slayer, but yeah, in the 2v1 at the very least, he is safe.
Have to see what he does here. Seeing Dragon Slayer being really aggressive, pushing forward, zoning, wanting to make sure he can abuse that frozen mount slow.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell even just from his inventory that he's looking perhaps towards this mid game now, and I wouldn't be surprised if once his teleport is available again, as he did use it to get back into lane to keep the pressure on, we see him going for some ganks, going for some plays across the map. That's one of the things that's been a little bit lacking between both of these teams, honestly. We've seen mainly plays that are only either like a solo laner plus a jungler or the duo lane plus a jungler. It's just never really been teleport enhanced plays or global sort of things, as these teams sort of consign themselves much to the laning phase.
Yep.
Nice play there around the wind wall. Ooh, actually, the Gragas ulti tossed a little wide. Lead Free will still go down, though. It turns out the explosive cast wasn't necessary to secure the kill.
It was a psych.
You see this? I don't even need it! You're dead anyway.
Speaking of dead.
Dead. One more Q, pops the egg. Slow Sloth now has as much time as he wants to charge Absolute Zero, and he'll take full advantage. Nightshade, though, wanted that kill and secured it, I think, actually with his ulti. Yeah, maybe a little unnecessary, but he really wanted to get the gold.
Safety Dad not having the easiest time in the world.
Oh, but Assault dodges out of an arrow that was meant for him, slamming into Raipu, stuns him up a little bit.
Well, we're seeing lots of pings towards that bottom side. Link and Okran retreating.
Yeah, 420 backs off of a fight that looked favorable thanks to their vision on the way down. And the bright spot here for MSU has really been the mid lane. I Am Nightshade has been pulling much more than his weight in this 1v1. And with the benefit of Slow Sloth showing up now and again, has gotten himself a good few kills.
Yep.
But
Sapling able to body slam out. That's a little concerning. He might get cut there.
They're not looking nearly as pretty.
Yeah. Top side is definitely probably struggling the most due to that focus from Sapling, taking advantage of Yasuo's lack of escape if he doesn't have minions to jump through.
Yeah, you just time your gank right, and Lead Free's in for a world of hurt, and Sapling Wiz is here to take part in that world once more. There's really just nowhere for him to run. Another auto attack finishes off the job. Speaking of auto attacks, those are some damaging ones on a Raipu.
Raipu barely getting away.
And I'm thinking that 420 is actually poised to leap into the mid game really well here. I mean, Safety Dad has had a very rough time of it, but he's going to be able to hold out and farm up and just kind of scale. And the solo lane and bottom lane may yet have it. Dragon Slayer gets himself a killing spree in a small skirmish in the jungle here. Slow Sloth brings down Sapling Wiz, however, in a duel of the junglers. May yet make it out with his life, but there's a lot of slowing effects coming his way. And he does have the safety of his turret to retreat to. Meanwhile, however, Link and Okran, feeling perhaps a little bit neglected, take a turret in response bottom side.
They have been doing really well, even without any kind of jungle support. Just doing a lot of...
It's going to be slammed by that crystalline arrow. Zillion ulti is popped.
Oh.
Should keep alive a little bit longer. Comes back from the dead. Finds himself knocked against the wall by Okarin's ulti. Now Slow Sloth is here as well to be as much of a nuisance as he possibly can. Okarin flashes out of there, and this is small little bits of damage, but eventually they do add up. However, Lynx is able to turn around and get a kill for himself, but with a Zillion bomb ticking on his head, he surely will fall. Slow Sloth actually finishes off the kill, and with a teleport, Lead Free off screen, was able to finish off Safety Dad as well, who had teleported into the fight.
I didn't even notice that. I was too busy watching what Link was doing. He played that as well as he could. He was able to force Raipu's flash. And if Raipu hadn't flashed, he definitely would have died.
Yeah, and he even still got the kill into Vanilla Assault, so...
Yeah.
It was a little bit of an overextension in the first place to keep going, particularly after Chrono Shift had been burned. I think after Chrono Shift went down, they could have just backed out and been alright. As we've seen them do once or twice. You know, they've been really wary of roams. Pardon me, and particularly from Nightshade.
Yeah, and the one time they weren't wary, they ended up getting surprised by Slow Sloth and a surprise LED free.
Yeah, you can't let your guard down. That's when they get you. Oh,
Nightshade not quite able to do as much damage to Dragon Slayer.
The Gnar didn't toss him against the wall. It tossed him past one, sadly. As with Scatter the Weak, he'll secure his escape.
Absolutely. Seeing that Dragon Slayer actually picking that random, it's looking to further reduce LED freeze effectiveness.
Now this is interesting. Top lane Yasuo, solo lane Yasuo, I should say, has been something of a thing recently with a specific build. I didn't actually think Lead Free would build it this game, but looks like he's going that way. I may have to get back to that in a second. Safety Dad gets chunked out by Nightshade. Link now caught out in the wrong part of this fight is going to go down. Nightshade finishes that off with a Scat of the Week. Now Slow Sloth going back into Dragon Slayer, trying his best to peel here. A Chrono Shift onto Nightshade. That's exactly where they want that, but it will not be enough. as Dragon Slayer and Sapling was just can't be dealt with the flash body slam. A triple kill for Sapling. Can he make it a quadra? If they can chase down Slow Sloth, there's a reality here where the Gragas gets himself a quadra kill. But it looks like that won't be the one that we live in. Meanwhile, Dragon Slayer hopping forward here onto lead free. Oh, his efforts to keep him slowed be put to waste by a wind wall, but Slow Sloth has once again found himself in the thick of it. A barrel slows him down, a body slam holds him up. He flashes mastery nonetheless. He turns the chilling smite actually onto Okarin, who backs off as he sees lead free coming in from the side, but lead free may have bit off more than he could chew. The super large minion wave, and also 3 enemy champions, but that sneaky kill off to the side. He gets the knockup. He gets the double kill. He's zooming on in with all of these speed buffs. He flashes back out, however, though, as he finds Dragon Slayer around a corner perhaps he didn't anticipate. A wall up on the Vanilla Salt and Saipu, but a leap over the wall signals the end of this team fight as Dragon Slayer backs off.
Super strong play by LAD there. Kind of punishing the super aggressive chase onto that Nunu.
They were hungering for that quadra kill.
And now they're going to lose Dragon because of it.
Bit on more than they could chew, and yeah, that's MSU taking advantage of a misplay.
Yeah, if they let Sloth go, they could have like, okay, this because the Dragon was spawning as they were chasing.
That's true. Yeah, they could have just backed off of the Dragon. They really were hungering for that quadra kill. It looks so tasty, you know, but Slow Sloth is really tanky at this point. Not going to go down easy.
Yeah. Without Link, I don't think they're going to be able to easily burn him down. They need Link or Dragon Slayer on top of him.
Maybe it's just because of the low-key nature of a Nunu's kit. It doesn't feel like Slow Sloth has had a huge impact on this game, but the guy's 5-1-5. You can't be 5-1-5 and not have had a huge impact, so props to the guy. Credit where credit is due. This Nunu pick has worked out far more effectively than I anticipated at the very least.
Absolutely, and we're actually seeing Frozen Mallet on LED free on that Yasuo. So is that the build you're referring to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Frozen Mallet, Phantom Dancer, and what's the last one? I think it's Sterix Gauge, perhaps, or maybe even Randuin's. It's like a sort of off-tank Yasuo build where he just is super annoying for the enemy team to deal with because he does enough damage to be a threat to somebody like Okarin or Link. Oh, speaking of a threat, Nightshade gets the kill into Okarin as he steps a bit too far up the mid lane.
Nightshade showing how much damage he can do. He easily the most successful laner on the side of MSU for this game.
Yeah, I mean, this Yasuo build, right, zooms himself away from danger. And this Yasuo build is the same theory behind why Tank Echo was so powerful for so long, is that you don't need to do overkill amounts of damage, you know? You only need to do enough damage to kill the opponent. Past that, doesn't matter. So past that, you just want to build tankiness. And if you can build that tankiness while still doing enough damage to kill your opponents, that is so much better than being just a damage carry. Link flashes out of danger there.
Forcing both summoners, actually.
And that is pretty darn big, especially in the immobile carry of Ashe. Once again, this game seems to have just broken in favor of MSU after one, honestly, pretty critical misstep from the side of 420. MSU just takes advantage after advantage. 420 doesn't seem to know how to regain the footing.
Definitely need to take a moment to figure it out. Because if the game continues like this, it could be really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Baron is open.
Yeah.
So one more misplay like that previous one, and GG.
You do have to keep in mind that 420 still does have the turret lead, but they still have the gold lead as well. It hasn't been disastrous, per se, but that was an impressive amount of follow-through on a catch, really, because that's kind of what it was. It was a catch. They got 2 kills, but then they were able to take a dragon off the back. They were able to take a turret off the back. Further kills. So MSU, if nothing else, is very good at following through on plays that they make.
Absolutely. Looking forward to see how well this Yasuo build performs against Gnar. We do see that the Dragon Slayer has picked up Randuin, so that's going to reduce the critical strike damage that LED is doing, even if it's not a whole lot, because he's building a obviously more durable build.
Yeah, honestly, the build that Lead Free is going isn't really meant to contest Dragon Slayer, and Dragon Slayer is going to come out on top in the majority of these 1v1s. because his kit is just better suited to being a bruiser. I mean, you're seeing it right here. Despite the fact that Lead Free just got Last Breath onto him, his ult barely did anything. Dragon Slayer is still turning around, though, and actually may not come out on top here. As I was anticipating, he dies just as Meganar was about to come into effect. And that's the 1v1. There wasn't actually an assist from the jungler in terms of damage. Link now getting the kill onto Nightshade and the skirmishing the river. Lead Free diving underneath the turret with the benefit of that Nunu, but he didn't actually need the turret aggro, but he still goes down to a tornado from Okarin. I'm really surprised that Gnar died in that 1v1, but I think part of it was Dragon Slayer seeing the junglers coming up from the river and prioritizing backing off rather than fighting back. And so he lost out on a good few autos during the fight.
And Dragon Slayer not being able to go to Mega, he was so close. Really kind of put the fight into Yasuo's favor there.
Yeah, another few autos would have given him the rage that he needed to get to Mega Gnar form that much quicker, get some health back. He would have dealt more damage to Lead Free. Like, it really would have made a huge difference in so many different ways.
So it's just such a huge chunk of stats. More health, more armor, more magic resist.
It wasn't enough commitment, I feel.
I think I agree that he did. Basically, he hesitated. He was trying to retreat instead of fight, and that ended up not working. No.
Link's ulti down. Pretty large engagement tool. Sapling Wiz takes some damage from the Baron, and Raipu aggroes it with a time bomb.
It didn't take all that much. He's gonna happily come back to kill that pink ward.
Oh, that explosion didn't quite land onto the lizard. That one will, though. And we have jockeying for position around this Baron pit once again between these teams. Last game was decided by a Baron round this time, actually, so this game may be a similar story.
Yeah, we're seeing that 420 is definitely struggling a lot less, but they had control of the game up until that misplay.
This is a really good catch if they can finalize a kill here on the Nightshade. A lot was burned to get this, but they do manage to finish it off. Link loses a good portion of his health to that ulti from Nightshade as he perishes, but he's all right as long as they can keep the Yasuo off of him. Be able to get some of that back.
Yasuo's going to be really sticky, too. He has Sunfire Cape now.
Oh, man. This is a really bold move to go for this Ocean Drake. They do have the Syndra down, but they can still take this Baron really quickly with Yasuo and Sivir. Yeah, it's losing hit points very quickly. The Ashe...
It's not going to be fast enough. They're going to get there in time.
Ashe will spot them out. Yeah, they're here in time, as you say. Dragon Slayer has no Narbar charge, but that may not really matter, as we see Sapling Wiz now hanging out in the back of the team. But there is no way you steal a Baron away from a Nunu. Not a competent one at the very least, and Slow Sloth is far more than competent. But this Baron does come at a price. Now Dragon Slayer has caught on to Slow Sloth as he flashes away from the pit. A few more slowing auto attacks plus that Hyper, and there is no way that Slow Sloth escapes this. But a Chrono Shift would keep him around a little bit longer. There's the Anivia Wall to trap him against the literal terrain. And Nunu goes down. Alright, so that was a Baron at the cost of 3 members and a secondary turret, it looks like. Would you judge that to be worth it?
I would say no. If they can hold this turret, maybe, but it's
that's a very nicely timed Gragas Congo on the Nightshade. Gragas Congo, indeed. I stick by my speaking errors.
And now it's definitely not worth it.
Yeah, that's an inhibitor going down. That is most certainly not worth. The Wallop doesn't land on the Raipu. And you know, we have another game breaking pretty drastically after a Baron play. This time the other direction, though. Let's see if Dragon Slayer can make it out of here.
It's an R. He's going to be nice and slippery, but Link could be in trouble here.
Yeah, importantly. Let's see if Link can make it out of here. There's Sapling going back in, though. 420 aggressively push to leave. They don't want to be part of this anymore.
They do.
Brook, no more of this nonsense.
They don't want any more mistakes that cost them before. But they're in position to take this to a game 3 now.
And Red 3 is playing a really aggressive Yasuo with that off-tank Yasuo build. As you said, the Sunfire being the 3rd item, potentially going into, I don't know, a Hex Drinker with that Megatron Cook. There's a lot of options.
Hex Drinker would be my guess. Gives him the...
Molotov Morty would be a good pick.
Yeah, gives
Still
him a nice
26
variety of
silver.
stats.
That's Ash ulti down now. Not too terribly much accomplished with it.
420 needs to be really careful here. Nightshade, if he catches any one of them.
And they've still got the Baron buff on Raipu here, so they've got some darn good shoving pressure because of that. And MSU look to take back the tempo of the match here.
Oh, here comes safety. Safety, I could possibly get a.
Engage. Sapling Wiz is missing the majority of his mana here, however. He actually can't body slam forward because of that. Now he's going to get stun locked almost to death here. Actually, all the way to death. And there we go. Gragas out of the picture. I feel like that was a bit of a rushed engage, but if Dragon Slayer can just get in there for a Gnar ulti while he's still got the bar, a 3-man toss against the wall, but Vanilla Salt, the only one to go down, will get the benefit of a zillion revive. Nobody's quite going down. Everyone refusing to die. Raipu will speed his way out of there. Vanilla Salt now in the 1v1 with Dragon Slayer will surely fall. Finally, a casualty. A beautiful wind wall keeps Nightshade alive, but now he's trapped in the Dragon Pit. He's got nowhere left to run. Okarin actually gets the kill with a feathery auto attack. Led free, despite how tanky he is on that odd Yasuo build, will fall to Dragon Slayer.
Not
And
a
by the skin
whole
of their
lot.
teeth, 420 clean up the fight.
Yeah. Not a whole lot that LED could do there to escape Dragon Slayer without that wind wall.
Oh yeah, it was a really nicely timed wind wall though. But
And
it didn't really matter that much. It was impressive from a technical mechanical standpoint. Nightshade still did die.
we see the Dragon Slayer picking for Wit's End. Curious choice.
I don't know how many other choices are really going to matter this game as inhibitor turrets, pardon me, the big ol' inhibitor Nexus turrets are now under siege. Nexus itself is going to go down. Slow slot that's just basically being ignored. And that is game 2 going to 420. Help me.
Very, very good game by 420. They had just one misplay, but after that, they pulled themselves together. They probably had more minor misplays, but only one like huge misplay that could have been even worse. But they managed to make a nice recovery.
Certainly an equally, if not more tense game as compared to the first one. I'm really excited for this final match. We'll have it in just a few minutes, though, I believe, as we get the teams together.
Absolutely. So I'm going to take this, open up OBS again. There we go. Alrighty, let's get back in the lobby. We'll see if they need a break. A couple minutes to go to the bathroom and etc. I still have the tournament code. Nice. Well, not quite everybody's in lobby yet, so we're going to take this opportunity to take a small breather. We'll put on some nice music for you guys. We'll shut up so you don't have to listen to us. And we'll be back once Champion Select starts. And we're back for the last match of the evening. MSU on the blue side, and we have 420 Help Me on the red side.
All right, and yeah, as you say, we are getting into the last match of our best of 3 finals tonight. And, well, both teams, since we're into the third match, have taken home a victory. And both teams have done so in scrappy but decently decisive manners.
Start off a little even, and then something happens and it just starts to spiral out of control. It wasn't
Yeah.
quite as obvious in the last game, but it was still ended up being pretty decisive once we were getting closer and closer to the end there. And we'll have to see how both teams respond to that.
The Aurelia ban makes a lot of sense, still keeping Dragon Slayer off of that pick. I'd be really surprised if we saw them go back to the Yasuo top that had, a lot of weaknesses, which Sapling and Dragon Slayer very much demonstrated they knew how to exploit.
Absolutely. They were able to take control of that lane very easily. LED made uncomfortable throughout the entire laning phase, basically. He was constantly under pressure. And by the time he got his first item, we already saw frozen mallet Gnar, who can be extremely frustrating to deal with.
Mm-hmm. His first pick is going to be really telling here, I think. Hecarim is on the table. We haven't seen Slow Sloth on it, but we've seen Sapling on it a few times. Gnar, that one, the winning team has had Gnar on it both games, so perhaps there's a pattern there.
Gnar is the deciding factor. And the question is, how does Dragon Slayer play around that?
Fiora, if the first match of the night was anything to go by, is not the correct pick. What was it? He hovered something before Fiora, the first match, that I really liked quite a bit, but I can't recall exactly what it was. Oh, dang, the name of the champion is eluding me now. As far as a top lane pick against Nargos, they can hold off on picking that top lane, though. Go with a jungler and a support right now. Grab Okarin his Thresh or something along those lines. Alongside this Gragas pick for Sapling. I like seeing Sapling on Gragas, actually. I mentioned the Hecarim earlier, but Gragas is a little bit more well-rounded, I'd say.
Yeah. Hecarim is all about engage, 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 engage. And Greg's a little more flexible.
Yeah.
Morgana locked in.
Yeah, that's I'm assuming support Morgana, so that's the jungle support that I anticipated seeing them lock in right now, as they buy themselves a little bit more time to think of what they want to do top against this Gnar, and just buy themselves more knowledge of what the opposing team's going to have to do. Because they could go support jungle in answer to that, and then we'd still have to see a solo lane pick from 420. They have to decide on top or blind pick a mid, so...
Well, they'll probably end up leaving mid for last pick. They want to try and give Safety Dad as much leeway as they can on a pick here, because he's been having a lot of trouble against I Am Nightshade.
That's an early Jhin pickup. I'm surprised at that. Instead of going with the support, they go with the Jhin, which is a little bit punishable. Jhin being as immobile as he is, you can pick some just really powerful dueling laners. Well, laner at this point, since Morgana's already been locked in. Also, there is theoretically the option of flexing Morgana to mid and then just picking a bottom lane that's really super aggressive. Something stupid aggressive like Lucian and Leona or something along those lines, and then just really hard punishing the Jhin.
Well, they're hovering Vladimir.
Yeah, it was the first game of this best of 3 that Vladimir hasn't been banned.
That could work. Safety Dad's been having a lot of trouble sustaining I Am Nightshade's damage, and a Vladimir pick would let him basically sustain through it a lot better. Of course, because he's got the natural tankiness and he's got the sustain built in.
Mm-hmm. Vladimir's lane is relatively safe and powerful compared to a lot of other laners. So yeah, going Vladimir into the Syndra, it's also just such a good pick if Nightshade wants to go back to that counter pick of the Syndra, because Sanguine Pool is so good at countering out a high burst short combo, like Syndra doesn't do a lot of damage over time. She does a lot of damage all at once, and Vladimir's really great at dealing with that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And with the right build, he can just ignore, or he can significantly reduce high burst to low burst.
Cassiopeia would make a lot more sense against the Vladimir matchup. Still could be a little bit difficult just because Vladimir is such a powerful laner, but the damage is more consistently over time, and even in your damage over time effect in the form of your poison would actually even still tick while he's in his pool. So
Yes, that's definitely a lot better pick than the Syndra in this case. The Syndra would have been a mistake, but high DPS is the easiest way to deal with Vladimir's early game.
mhm. And the movement speed buff off of Twin Fangs makes it so that you can kite back away from the Vladimir pretty decently as well. So I like the Cassiopeia pick. I like seeing Nightshade on something other than the Syndra, if only because I want to see how the guy's champion pool looks outside of that single pick. And with a Gangplank going back to the old standard for Dragon Slayer up in top, we have both team comps fully realized.
Well, LED back on that Gnar, so it'll be interesting to see how he deals with the Gangplank because he was playing against Fiora in the first round, so it's gonna be a little different. Still gonna build tanky probably, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but they're on a lease jungle this time, which is very interesting. Doesn't have the poke range of an Italy, but still quite a bit of damage. Very bursty.
Yeah, good early game catch potential as well. It's going to be a little tough for Slow Sloth to find some good ganks, though. Safety Dad has the pool. There's a Black Shield on bottom side. Dragon Slayer can cleanse out CC. There's just means of completely avoiding CC in literally every single lane.
We definitely interesting to see how he applies his ganks. I imagine we're gonna see Nightshade trying to do his best to bully Safety Dad in the mid lane, and R's gonna do Gnar things in the top lane.
Nar generally does Nar things, I'd imagine, yeah. That's why they call him that.
That's why he says his name a lot too.
He's a Pokemon.
I'm interested to see how Arkaran's gonna play Morgana because we've only seen him play basically a lot of Thresh, and then obviously he changed it up to Janna last game. Morgana's a little different style.
There's actually some
There's some
pretty
there's some
pretty
similarities.
remarkable similarities
Yeah,
between a Morgana and a Thresh. But yeah, it's a little bit more selfish of a play style because the you don't have the lantern to pull people to safety. You don't have as much peel potential. You basically land binding or don't. But I still there was just so much synergy in a lot of the skirmishes that we saw with Link and Okarin. I still am excited to see this bottom lane and how it plays out.
absolutely. I look forward to seeing them in lane. And on that note, we are gonna go into our tiny commercial break. We're at about a minute and a half into our 3 minute delay, and so we'll be back shortly, guys. I muted myself for a second. I just started to talk myself. We're back into the last game of the night. Well, possible seeing MSU group up here. Either they're looking to counter and invade, or they want to invade themselves. They do have the Thresh.
That's very true. And they've also got Slow Sloth's Cocoon if they really want to commit super hard to this, but I don't think they'll have to. Safety Dad gets caught out here, flashes over the wall to avoid the hook. That's a summoner down.
That is a completely worth invade. Getting a free flash for nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. A little bit of an advantage for Nightshade, as both mid laners have gone with the very defensive summoner setup of Ghost and Flash, so there still is a bit of mobility here for the Vladimir.
He actually has started boots as well, so he's looking to try to avoid being bullied and poked.
Mm-hmm. Interesting choice, actually. I mean, a manaless champion like Vladimir does just present some cool build options early on for like your very starting build. And boots is one of them, because you don't have to worry about the Dorn's Ring value of returning mana on kill and stuff like that.
Yeah. He could have probably maybe considered Dorn's Shield, but the dots are something I'd worry about in that case.
Yeah, and the boots are going to build into further boots later. You know, you're going to get use out of boots moving later into the game. So, unlike Doran Shield, which is just something of a piece of dead weight as you move into the mid and late game.
Yeah, and it's going to help him play a little safer since he has that additional mobility, because Vladimir's early game cooldowns make him relatively easy to bully.
Interesting. Okarin has gone with the Black Pool as his first level up option.
Looking to get those early stacks of Frostqueen Claims building off. Because how fast it ticks, it just ticks off instantly.
It's not necessarily a bad option, that's for sure. It will give him a good amount of passive gold out of his Frostqueen, as you see right there. But it's a remarkably low aggression option out of a support that we've seen often playing rather aggressively. But it gives them a little bit of extra wave clear, which does mean that they hit level 2 at the same exact time as Raipu and Vanilla Salt, so that may have been part of the consideration there.
So now that they've hit level 2, he is going to have that Dark Binding very likely. For some reason, I have... There we go. That little flash thing was stuck out. Little flash text bar. Sorry about that.
And gave our viewers an education on what flash does.
Yes.
For those of them who maybe weren't aware.
Yes,
It is a rather rare summon as well. You don't see it too often.
You never see it. It's just, it needs a huge buff. It needs twice the range and half the cooldown.
Buff Flash 2016. It's the least popular political party. Ooh, Sapling is going to get caught turning a corner. He has to body slam back out, but maybe not quite to safety. As Slow Sloth is still on his tail to flash in, and there's the Q spider form execution.
And we're seeing... That was a really good cash by Sloth there. Surprised Sapling didn't even try to flash to get away.
The Black Shield on the Link was a good timing from Okarin. I gotta give him that. The reflexes were on point to spell shield as soon as Raipu started the hook animation, but minion body block the hook nonetheless. Pardon me one sec.
Bless you.
Casting. I'm allergic to hooks hitting minions as a Thresh main. Raipu's been playing perfectly fine on this Thresh.
Sometimes he just wants to friend. Well, he is going to eat those traps.
Eat those cupcakes. They're delicious. Caitlin's been busily working on setting up a bakery. And that was just something serendipitous there for Slow Sloth on the top side. To be in the right place at the right time, to catch Sapling was turning the corner. That's a quality a jungler finds very valuable. I say quality and maybe not skill, because sometimes it just feels like luck to be in the right place at the right time. But
and sometimes it is.
It's less luck and more a matter of like always being aware and always moving to the next thing.
To be fair, basically they could have maybe thought about it. And Sapling has been going top a lot, putting a lot of pressure onto LED.
And this is the early gank pressure that I said in Elise would lend to Slow Sloth. We see him again in the mid lane. Second gank in 5 minutes. pretty good tempo there. It's worked out for him once. I said all the laners have a way to get out of his CC, and he found the one target who didn't in the form of Sapling Wiz. It's kind of funny.
Poor Sapling.
The one person who didn't have a way to block or straight up just remove the cocoon landing.
Yeah, his only way is to not be cocooned.
Which didn't quite work out for him there.
No. Seeing Dragonslayer having a little bit of a hard time, but that's not completely unexpected given that it is an R.
It's the ranged versus melee matchup for the most part. It's the sometimes ranged versus always melee matchup. That will give Gangplank a little bit of a hard time. Nightshade going kind of aggressive here.
Yeah, he's not a
Doesn't
real
do much
ranged
less.
champion. He cheats.
He's like Elise. They actually have both of the semi-ranged, semi-ranged, semi-melee champs on their team. There's three. No, there's four. Jace, Finley, Elise, Gnar. Is there another that I'm missing? Or could you put together a 5-man comp of that particular mechanic?
At least Gnar, Nidalee.
Because Kled isn't
Jace.
actually ranged. He gets longer range given different circumstances, but he isn't actually ranged.
Yeah.
Even though he is sort of two form.
Man, the closest
Kled
would
is such an
be...
oddball.
I don't think there is another character that transforms like that. From a range to a melee.
No, none are coming to mind. None in this ever-expanding roster.
No, they'd have to probably cheat and use Gangplank.
But getting back to the game at hand here. Kale.
Kale, you're right.
Sometimes ranged, sometimes melee. Not quite by the same mechanics as the other four. You sort of swap forms to do it, but still.
Yeah, certainly a better...
Gnar, Elise, Jace,
Nidalee.
Nidalee. Not a good comp.
Not at all.
You could do it. I don't know, Elise support, Kale jungle, Gnar top, Jace mid, Jace AD carry. Who gonna do that?
Nidalee jungle.
Anyways, we do have a matchup.
We have more important things than
Despite our-
speculating.
Despite our rampant and wild speculation, we do have a match in our hands. It's 11:11 at night. I'm making a wish. I'm wishing that this match is exciting enough to keep me awake, or quick enough that I can go to sleep soon.
It's not often we get matches that last this long.
Yeah, or tournaments in general. In the past, we've had more and more teams signing up of late, which is great. It does mean that the semifinals, which are the casted matches, come later in the night. And now we're going into a best of 3 tonight. We've had 2 relatively longer games, both past the 35-minute mark. And so, yeah, we're casting late at night, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless.
Absolutely, just gotta get some caffeine when in doubt. Let's see though, basically our only victim to this game so far has been Sapling.
I mean, you could say that Safety Dad is a victim here, though. 'Cause that is a huge CS differential.
Oh, you're right. I didn't really get a good look at it. Poor Safety Dad has just been getting abused this entire best of 3.
Yeah, it seems like it's not just because of the Syndra pick. Nightshade is proficient on Cassiopeia as well. Slowsloth's getting a bit of invading done. This is going to call solo laners to their position, however. The repel up to continue the chase here. Chilling Smite comes down. The flash after the Gragas barrel lands, but Sapling still gets away with a sliver of health. Slowsloth will not find what he was looking for, sadly.
Slowsloth having a really good game here.
Yeah, nonetheless, he did chase Gragas out of the jungle, stole a red buff. All of that is fine and dandy.
Yep, forced a flash, which is also good, but where he also flashed. Apparently Safety is a support main. Poor guy.
That could be part of the reason why he seems out of his element in the mid lane here, is he's into a 1v1 with Nightshade that he has to run away from with his coat between his legs. For some reason the word coat refused to come out of my mouth right then. Cape. I was trying to say cape and coat at the same time, but he's got a coat. It's not really a cape.
Yeah, it's definitely more like a trench coat. Kind of. Trench robe.
Finding from a kind. This guy is good at pointing straight lines from him to enemies.
Absolutely.
Be it Thresh, Morgana, even Janna tornadoes. You don't point with all of them.
Seeing that Dragon Slayer having a pretty good game. Oh, maybe not now though.
So there's no way for Dragon Slayer to beat K unless he can turn around and get the kill here. Slow Sloth is repelling in for sure though, but the Chilling Smite comes down. The Body Slam lands and Dragon Slayer kept enough distance that he was not turned into spider food. Slow Sloth overextends and gives a kill back to the enemy team.
Absolutely. Good save by Sapling to help save the day there.
Oh, that was clutch. That was the definition of clutch.
Oh, and looks like LED could be in trouble.
Dragon Slayer. Lead Free's going to pay for very evidently an overextension unless he himself is rescued. These top laners got to sing the praises of the rest of their team. Nightshade coming to the top side to keep Lead Free well free. And that'll be a solo kill going back to the side of MSU. These teams seem to trade one back and one forth.
And LED is free to continue his hatred of LED light bulbs.
I like how we've stuck on that the whole broadcast. You're calling him LED, I'm calling him LED. We've got the bases covered. Ooh, Link getting hooked back into the box.
He's forced to heal, but he's exhausted.
Hit points, but yeah, the exhaust comes down, and there's the fourth auto from Vanilla Salt. That guaranteed crit doing quite a bit of work. Vanilla Salt drops the heal to keep himself safe through the chains from Okarin. Okarin kites his way back into a bush, but he's really just walking towards his own doom. A ward dropped into the bush, the binding landing onto a minion. He flashes into another bush, but there's a ward in there too. However, here comes the cannon barrage. Dragon Slayer gets one kill. Raipu gets out of there in time. And Okarin gets away by the skin of his teeth. Meanwhile, however, Nightshade and Slow Sloth were so dueling.
Dragon Slayer MVP.
They had when I said it.
Dragon Slayer was able to save the day, but they did lose the actual dragon for it.
And he's lying
Oh.
to us.
You're breaking up a little bit there.
Oh, am I?
Just a tiny bit.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Lead Free tosses Safety Dad against the wall, and hopefully you can hear me because this is a ruckus on the top side. Safety Dad just about escaped the ghost, bringing him to safety. Dragon Slayer gonna keep on chasing. He gets a speed buff off of his barrel, and here's Sapling Boy's coming in from the side as well. Lead Free surely will go down. Indeed he does. Dragon Slayer, with a swipe of the cutlass, takes home 300 gold.
Dragon Slayer is now 3-0. That little bully that you saw in the early game doesn't matter now. He's very likely going to be able to finish that Trinity Force now, which is going to give him a nice big boost to his damage.
And this is a champ that Dragon Slayer knows well. Gangplank is his comfort zone, that is for darn sure. I'm surprised it actually took this far into the matches tonight to see him pull it out.
He does tend to favor the Aurelia, but they don't want him on Aurelia, much to his dismay.
Yeah, Aurelia is kind of the current hot stuff in the top lane. Slow Sloth catches Sapling Boys out in the jungle, and that's a sentence I think I could just repeat over and over this game. Oh, Shane.
A little bit of a premature ultimate there by Nightshade.
Okarin going to get hooked backwards into the binding. However, he does have a black shield to keep himself safe from the CC chain. And looks like that'll be the end of that particular skirmish. Slow Sloth and Nightshade, however, are looking for a little bit more in the mid lane. They get the cocoon onto Safety Dad. The tower isn't down yet. It does finally fall. Safety Dad now only with a single pool to his name. He's only able to stay invulnerable for so long. Slow Sloth is starting to hurt with the Runic Echoes completed.
It's definitely going to sting just a tiny bit. We did see that Sapling went with the Cinder Hulk trying to be a little more durable, but he still evaporating.
Sting because he's a bug. And they have stingers. It's a stretch. It's a stretch. But
So
I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt here.
They bite. Spiders bite more than sting. I guess technically some people could call it sting.
Well, you're the one who called it Sting.
That's true.
You made the joke. I just pointed it out.
I didn't do it on
got your
purpose.
back here, man.
I don't think I made that on purpose. I just kind of said what came to mind.
Roll with it.
Roll with it. Spiders now sting. Deal with it.
The outer turret on the top side falls, and that is a 2-0 turret lead now, going over to the side of MSU. And this game still holds rather evenly. I'd say the 3-0 Gangplank is enough to offset the differential in the mid lane, but given the turret lead as well, and the fact that Slow Sloth is doing quite well out of the jungle, It's actually something of an advantage now forming for MSU.
Basically, looks like things are mostly pretty even in bottom lane. We're seeing a big CS differential though. And
Yeah,
top
definitely
lane,
manage that.
yeah. Top lane is the only other just basically winning lane for 420 here though. He's got the 3-0. Oh, hello.
There's a flash into the hook. There's no black shield available. That is a long cooldown, and they're taking advantage of it. Now the exhaust dropped on the link to hold him up long enough for Slow Sloth to pull himself in on a lantern, and it's a double kill over to Vanilla Salt. Sapling Wiz is going to toss Lead Free back into the waiting arms of Dragon Slayer, and he's going to flash back out, wanting no part of that fight. Meanwhile, in mid lane, we have action as our fights breaking out all across the board. Nightshade chasing Safety Dad out of the lane.
And with that, it looks like MSU has the control of the reins for the moment.
We're going to use that control to get a third and final outer turret. It crumbles into bits, and Slow Sloth returns home. Job well done so far for this jungler.
Actually, that was a really nice play by Ripo, flashing in for the hook.
Mm-hmm. And it was perfectly timed, too, as well. They had just recently landed a hook into the Jin binding, which had pulled the dark shield, or the black shield, I should say, sorry, from Okarin. And so he knew that was on cooldown for at least another estimated, 5 to 8 seconds. So he had a window of opportunity there, and he took full advantage of it.
Basically allowed them to snowball that. They were able to pick up Link for free and take the turret.
Despite the CS lead that Link does have, which is relatively sizable, it's now balanced out by Vanilla Salt's 3 kills. It's allowed him to start work in earnest on a second item, as well as finishing off that Yuumu's Ghost Blade.
And he's building more armor pen. Jins do like their armor pen.
Especially when the opposite team is building virtually no armor. He's going to be doing almost true damage at this point. Safety Dad is rushed into magic resist.
Well, LED could be in trouble.
Yeah, Dragon Slayer is the sort of shining light here for the side of 420, and looks like he's going to gift a kill over to Safety Dad, who roamed up in the mid lane to finish it off.
Safety Dad could use all the help he can get in terms of gold.
And although Dragon will be with us in just a few seconds, and looks like MSU has taken full control of that particular area of the map. It's going to be really rough for Sapling Wiz to get any sort of leeway into this pit to go for a steal. It looks like he's not going to be bothering.
No, it's too dangerous. There is a pretty decent vision control coming out of MSU to tell them when he is showing up.
And really good catch potential with both Elise and Thresh. Even Jin as well to follow up on any long-range CC that lands. I actually really like the core of catching, yes, that they have on the side of MSU. They've got some really long-range, high-impact skill shots, and then a Jin to follow up on that. It's the utility that a Jin brings to a team.
Yeah, he doesn't have much in terms of mobility, but damage and utility he does have.
That's very true. Dang, would you look at that vision control from MSU. There's a reason they got that dragon.
Yeah, they were absolutely saying we are going to take this dragon, especially because it's Infernal Dragon. Infernal Drake,
Oh,
I
no.
guess.
That one ward was outside. Okay, it's still inside the range of the pink ward. I was worried that they wouldn't get spotted out. It's okay. The ward is dead. No more tears now.
There you have it. The ward is dead. Ding dong, the ward is dead.
All right. Well,
And
we have a moment here as the quiet of war spreads across Summoner's Rift to take stock of exactly where we are. Dragon Slayer is still a very potent force. Trinity Force is completed.
looks like he's working on Ghostblade.
Yeah, humans, I'd imagine. But other than that, there's just slow bleeding in every lane on the side of 420. Move the skirmish top side.
Yeah, LED playing a little bit of fire there. But he does have that. He does have that frozen mallet now, so he's going to be durable, and he's going to have the slow on his auto attacks. And there is, hello.
Slow Sloth doing quite a bit of damage to Dragon Slayer here, and that is the focus target, and they will get what they're looking for. A 3-man ulti from Nightshade, a double kill and well deserved. That was beautifully placed on the petrification. Slow Sloth will likely go down here. Actually, safety net. Flasher's out of the bush, which breaks vision, and he can't finish off the kill. Even an auto attack would have done it, but he simply couldn't target the Elise. A double kill now for Lead Free. And Link gets away, but only as the rest of his team falls around him.
And that is a 4 for nothing. And that is going to leave Baron wide open, should they choose to go for it. That is going to be no Baron, because obviously they can't possibly take it without Slow Sloth.
Yeah, they definitely can't possibly take it, as the screen is tinted a beautiful sepia for us.
Absolutely. So I'm assuming that is going to be, they're just going to wait for Slow Sloth to do that. He is back. So we should be
All right.
jumping out of this pause very quickly.
Well, it gives us a moment to talk about that particular team fight that just transpired. That was a really, really good ult from Nightshade. I hit on it as it happened, but
Yeah,
that was
changed everything.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate that Dragon Slayer kind of got caught out of position a little bit. He was in the front, and Slow Sloth melted him.
Yeah, it looked like Dragon Slayer thought he was just rotating down to mid lane to clear a wave or join up with the team or something like that, and MSU was just more on the same page there. They realized what was going on, and oh no, we have another disconnect. No.
Allegedly,
Going back to the game, not leaving.
allegedly at 11,000 ping.
That's not even milliseconds anymore. That's just regular seconds.
That's a slideshow.
Oh boy. Hopefully we get back into this match shortly for you guys.
That would be ideal. We're seeing...
All right, we got one of them back. Okarin is here. Now we just need Slow Sloth and we'll have the full 10. We'll have collected them all.
Oh, looks like they're saying they're good. Possibly. Maybe. Maybe not. It's actually...
Well,
Can you see a sapling smite icon kind of freaking out a little bit there?
yes, I can. That's an artifact of the game being paused. If something was just about to come off cooldown, it does that.
I learn something new every day.
Yeah. I've seen more pauses than I'd like in my time.
Well, it's the way of online tournaments.
It very much is. And that's the unpause. We get the countdown ever so dramatically. And we are into game.
Yep. Let me see. LED free. Hitting that top lane turret. Lots of turrets being hit, actually.
Meanwhile, a 3-man posse in the mid lane from MSU. They're going to be getting a secondary turret for themselves. Some good damage on the top lane secondary turret. And, of course, the victory in the team fight. 20 minutes into the game, they're sitting well poised to eventually take it all.
Absolutely. They have a pretty sizable gold lead now. And I am Nightshade having another amazing game. He's going to be such a huge threat. And I'm not trying to draw away from basically their bottom laner, because Vanilla Assault and Raipo are again having another good game.
It's really Dragon Slayer who's like the final bastion of hope here. He's got 2 core items. He's 3-1. He's holding even in CS. But like, how much can you really pin your hopes on just a single Gangplank? He's really strong and adds a lot of damage to a comp, but you need more than just that damage, and they don't have that right now. Not with an 0-4 Gragas.
If he can get a really good barrel combo on somebody, maybe, but...
Yeah, I mean, if they get a pick, if Okarin lands a good binding, and then Dragon Slayer can follow up with a big burst of barrel damage. But that really just shouldn't happen to MSU, especially not with the amount of vision control they're pushing. Now Baron has started off.
No, and there's going to be no contest here.
Yeah, 420 isn't even aware this is going down, and it goes down so fast. There's no time for them to become aware.
Seeing that huge DPS being put out by the Elise and the Gnar and the Cassiopeia, they all have that. Either the percentage damage or just insane amounts of DPS.
It does take a good crit there. I don't know. It's just there doesn't seem to be too many avenues back into this game unless MSU makes some pretty large missteps, and they really just haven't made those missteps this game.
Yeah, they're very, very not prone to making huge misplays.
Which is a pretty good quality to have. Slow Sloth does step a bit too far forward, eats a cupcake. No Salt going to be popping into his ulti. Gets some good damage back onto Okarin in the back line. Now he's getting dove, however. The Chemo Plague dropped on him. Led free play in the front line for his team. Gets a double kill before he goes down. But it looks like Vladimir wasn't able to do all that much as Vanilla Salt is free to clean up a kill. And now Nightshade is running rampant here. He gets body slam, flashes away from the binding, turns around with some more Twin Fangs. But the Black Shield means that he trades 1-for-1 for Gragas.
That is a 2 for 4 and a turret.
Still very much decidedly going over to MSU. A messier fight than I anticipated for sure, but a one fight nonetheless.
So
The inhibitor turret is under
didn't
fire.
really get a chance to catch it, but LED Free had a really, really solid ultimate that pinned 420 to the wall.
Yeah, that was a fight that took place in two parts, and one of them was Vladimir diving in and trying to finish off Vanilla Salt, and the other one was Lead Free on the other half of the battle, rather, diving to the back and landing that 4-man Gnarl, as you said. And it was just that the 4-man Gnarl was more impactful than the damage that Safety Dad could do, given how far behind Safety Dad is now.
Yeah. Next to no kills, basically 1 kill, 1 assist, and he's 20 to 30 CS behind.
Mm-hmm.
So he's
I mean,
definitely.
It's a testament. Go ahead.
It's going to be a huge struggle for them to find a way to catch up here. Go ahead.
It's a testament, you could say, to the power of Vladimir that even just with these 2 core items plus boots, he was something of a threat to Vanilla Salt. He got dropped to about half health off of the full Vladimir combo, but close isn't really good enough.
Yeah.
In a game like League, you need to go all the way. You need to kill the Jhin.
Jhin needs to not be alive.
And that's going to be a Air Drake falling.
Yep.
And a hook landing on the Sapling Wiz. He gets pulled back into a team and eaten alive.
Sapling not having much of a chance to do anything there. Dragster eating a couple of shots from curtain call.
Nothing really left in the tank to follow up on the curtain call, however. The Baron buff's still running. They're going to shove in for the final turret outside of the base that's remaining here. MSU now, after getting a pretty darn good lead in the laning phase, are pushing through a textbook victory, provided they pull it all the way.
Kind of trying to dismantle 420 here by putting pressure with that Baron.
Good Black Shield there. From Okarin's Morgana. Okarin has been rather well on points this game, but just hasn't really been enough. Gangplank ulti to clear out the minion wave there, for the most part.
Yeah. Not quite as impressed with his Morgana as I am with his Thresh. To be fair, Morgana just doesn't stand out as much as Thresh does.
And, I mean, the rest of the team isn't doing nearly as well as they were in his Thresh games. You know, Thresh excels on a team where you want to engage. You know, that's why we're seeing Raipu excelling here. He's landed some great hooks. He's got a good score line. And when your team isn't doing nearly so hot and you're playing the engage character and your job is to get the picks, if you just don't have the team to follow up on your picks as a support, it's not going to work out as well for you.
Absolutely. And Dragon Slayer still being this tiny sliver of hope, but he is starting to slow down a bit.
Yeah, the final light in the darkness is flickering and is very close to dying out. As an inhibitor down and a huge gold lead, more than 10k actually at this point. The side of MSU. That's usually the breaking point in any given game.
And
that's still
that's
before the 30-minute mark, and a 10k gold lead rears its ugly head.
Yeah, 6k, or sorry, not 6k, but a 6 turret difference. No dragons for the side of 420. It's definitely pretty decisive here. It'd take a extremely huge mistake, which I don't think is likely coming out of MSU. And there's another hook.
Yeah, onto Raipu this time. Pulls him back for a little bit of punishment. And this game is much more decisive than the last few have been, particularly in terms of the laning phase, the top and bottom lane. There's curtain call, drags the body slam outside of the range of it. Safety Dad, he's diving to the back lane. We'll see if this time he can finish off Vanilla Salt. He can't do it, not through the exhaust. Sacrificing his life to take away about half of Jin's hit points.
Yeah, if not for the exhaust, he might have actually been able to pick up that kill.
Wow, Slow Sloth goes down to a huge crit from Dragon Slayer, and there's the binding on what remained of the turret. It's a double kill for Dragon Slayer there. He falls himself, however, to the dot. and the inhibitor turret already went down. Meanwhile, Lead Free is shoving in the last remaining inhibitor turret on the bottom side. Flashes in as he transforms into Meganar. Trying to stun up Link there with the wallop, but more just holding him at bay so that this turret can go down.
Possible engaged by Sapling here. He has his ult.
Lead Free interrupting the body slam, tosses Sapling Wiz against the wall. He does get exhausted though on the way out, so he still may yet go down. And binding onto Raipu, body blocking that for his top laner. They fall in his place, flashes away himself, but a flash body slam from Sapling Wiz. They're not letting go of these few kills that they're being given, but a hook to the wolf camp may yet get Raipu to safety. And it looks like it will, actually, unless Okarin can land a miracle binding, or maybe Sapling Wiz can keep going with the chase. He's got a lot of movement speed and a chilling smite. Doesn't even need to land the body slam. He drops a cask on Raipu's head.
A valiant attempt by Raipu to get out of there. Really good, hooked over basically to try and get the wolf, try to get out. But persistence by Sapling was enough to secure it.
Persistence and movement speed. Two beautiful things in a chase. Very, very valuable.
Yeah.
The dead man's plate rushing him forwards there was useful. But Baron will be back with us in just a few seconds here. And the vision control is still very much in favor of MSU.
Well, it looks like Dragon Slayer knows. Possibly.
And this time it's not going to be quite as one-sided, I'd imagine. Or, I don't know, maybe it will. There's a call of volley fire from Dragon Slayers. He dropped his ult in the pit. Slow Sloth going dangerously low, but he does manage to secure the Baron, so if nothing else, he's served his purpose in this fight. And Lead Free is doing his best to hold the enemy at bay, so his low health team members can back off safely, and that's going to be the Baron with basically no losses on the side of MSU.
Yeah, basically all they needed. They have Baron, they can back, they can heal, and they can basically close this game out now.
Yeah, there's 3 naked inhibitors and a more than 10k gold differential now. This is about as lopsided as it gets, and it's not lopsided by any means in favor of 420.
So definitely a pretty decisive lead coming out of MSU. There's the red buff going to Jin. Middle Assault, of course, going to use that to great effect.
Oh, and here's the catch on the Sapling with no Black Shield this time to avoid the snare, and Vanilla Salt is unstoppable. Another hook onto Okarin. Raipu has been landing these things on cooldown. Another beautiful ult out of Nightshade. He will go down, but not before trading his life for 2 of his opponents. Lead Free now chasing down after the Vladimir will exercise that particular vampire. And that will surely be GG with Baron buff minions flooding into a base that's only got 2 turrets left to its name.
It is extremely unlikely that Dragon Slayer can go 4v1 here, despite how much damage he did.
That is straight up disgusting, frankly, how much damage he's doing even while still so far behind. But it's a cry that's going to be lost in the depths of this game.
Looks like MSC's going to play it safe. They're just going to kill the inhibitors and back off. Kind of getting scared off by Dragon Slayer's burst.
They basically don't have any say in what happens in the rest of the map now. Like 3 inhibitors down, they just have to stand in their base and kill minions for the next, like, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, however long it takes for inhibitors to respawn.
It's a pretty... I forget how long it is now. I haven't thought about it in a while, but it is unlikely that they'll be up before the game ends.
Unlikely, but I suppose not impossible, and I really didn't anticipate them not losing in that scenario, so...
Yeah, they kind of got scared off by Dragon Slayer's burst.
Yeah, that was a very high damage barrel. He packed a lot of gunpowder into that thing.
Yeah, he's got the double armor pen, flat armor pen, so somebody with low armor like a...
Okarin in the jungle. This could be it for the Morgana support. The exhaust is dropped, but Nightshade is a tenacious foe and will not be so easily dissuaded. Steps on a cupcake. Breaks his own back as another headshot flies through. Safety Dad gets the kill. That's a 1-for-1. But there are super minions flooding into this base from every possible angle.
Still,
There's still 4 members of MSU to contend with. Safety Dad gets caught out the cocoon. Within the space of the CC, he perishes. Now Sapling Wiz will be shot at. He's bullet doing quite a bit of damage. There's the 4th one coming through. Godlike for Vanilla Salt. He catches a kill with that curtain call. Slow Sloth chomps down on Sapling Wiz. And this is going to be the end.
That is definitely going to be game. congratulations to MSU for taking this week's championship. Valiant effort by 420 Helmet. Just a little unfortunate on that last game. Just the first games were much more even.
It's okay, guys. Because of our mistake in the first game and our misnaming of the teams, everyone in this game was MSU. So everyone won.
I see. It makes perfect sense. You
That
can
was the plan all along.
You guys
Reverie
could-
Esports is scripted.
Yeah, you guys can thank me later.
I'll thank you now. Thank you, Effect, for being so even-handed.
I tend to like to be fair.
All right. I think that's all for tonight.
Yeah, I'll go and take this quick opportunity to briefly plug our sponsors. We have, of course, the service we use to run our tournament, which is Battlefly. Very simple to use website. Next, we have let's see, Vibi, which is a nice little service we use to create highlight videos. Rather than downloading an additional program, you just go to the Vibi's website, you plug in a video, and you can chop bits out to make a highlight video without having the software, like, say, Sony Vegas or Adobe. And Law History app. I almost forgot. Man, it's late. The Law History app is basically an app you download on your phone. It's either iPhone or Android. Functions just like na.opg, op.gg. A lot of dots in there. Or Law King. Same concept, but for the phone. So, and that's it. And with that, we're going to go ahead and close out. Thanks for everybody for coming out and showing up. And we'll be signing off. Night.
Good night, everybody.